Chapter 230, Playing with Fire, 1. Chapter 230, Playing with Fire, 1. Brotherly, this is my token. If you need anything, just call me. The disciples of the Wind Moon Palace will treat this token as if it's me. But you better not bully me, otherwise, I will never let you off. The destruction of heaven and earth is not my strongest move. Moonrise Mountains are in turmoil. You should be careful. With you here, the people of Wind Moon Palace won't get involved. With that said, he waved his hand and a jade token was presented to Li Lingtian. He then flashed and beckoned to Lan Tianxiang and the others before he swiftly flew into the sky. In the blink of an eye, 6 figures vanished into the horizon. They came and left quickly, leaving Li Lingtian no chance to speak. All the warriors were also stunned. This Wind Spirit Prince was simply a martial arts fanatic. He had a one-track mind, but he was willing to risk his life for his own brother. Li Lingtian was speechless. He did not know this Shun Mei at all. He had only met her once before and now, he was being described in such a manner by this Wind Spirit Prince. Judging from Prince Wind Spirit's expression, he must have connected him with Shun Mei. He was truly wronged. Now, the entire Moonrise Mountains knew about it. Do you know that if you dare to bully me, he will find trouble with you? Shun Mei's face also turned red. She had never seen such a scene before, and she had never thought that things would turn out this way. He glared at Li Lingtian in a show of force before shifting his gaze to Yun Yao with a victorious smile on his face. Hey! Li Lingtian could not help but shake his head when he saw Shun Mei's expression. This matter was only getting worse the more he explained it. He could only wave his hand and put away the few demon beasts. Then, he turned around and cancelled the array. After being attacked by a few martial emperors, this formation was not complete. He could just build another one in the future. After entering the array, they looked into the distance. All the martial artists felt a wave of fear and quickly flew away. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion shocked all the martial artists of Maple Leaf Manor. Li Lingtian did not even look at her as he walked inside. It turned out that Shun Mei's flying ship had landed at the Maple Leaf Manor. After putting away the flying ship, she quickly caught up. Hey, are you not going to care about me anymore? Shun Mei came before Li Lingtian with a fierce expression. She glared at Li Lingtian before revealing a seductive smile that was enough to enrapture the world. Do I know you? Don't be so unreasonable, understand? Li Lingtian walked past them and headed back to his own courtyard. The other Maple Leaf Villa warriors had also returned to their own residences. No one dared to provoke Li Lingtian and Shun Mei. One of them was the Prince of the Wind Moon Palace while the other was the Princess of the Queen's Palace. On the other hand, Li Lingtian was a super powerhouse, a spirit alchemist, and the brother of the Wind Spirit Prince. With such an identity, how many people in the Azure continent would dare to provoke him? In the sky, 6 figures were flying at high speed. In an instant, they were thousands of miles away. You guys go back by yourselves. I'm going back to the Wind Moon Palace to cultivate in seclusion. This kid is too abnormal. If not for my thick skin, my bones would definitely have fallen apart. Prince Wind Spirit looked at the 5 martial emperors flying behind him, turned around, and said coldly with a cold and arrogant look in his eyes. Prince, isn't it a little abrupt for you to become brothers with Li Lingtian? Or does Prince have other thoughts? Lan Tianxiang was puzzled. He could not accept the fact that Prince had become brothers with someone who had started a fight the moment they met. In theory, Li Lingtian was also a rival for his woman. Even though Li Lingtian had been used by Shun Mei, it was still a little demeaning for them to become brothers. There are some things that you can't understand. Although I've only met him once and we're both opponents, I can feel his character. Although one can't tell his cultivation base, I'm sure he hasn't reached the martial emperor realm. To be able to be on par with me in the martial arts grandmaster realm, he is definitely a heaven-defying person. Some people are born to be brothers, while others are born to be opponents. There are also brothers who are more terrifying than enemies. There are also people who look like opponents but can be trusted. Wind Moon Palace, don't get involved in the matters of the soliciting Moon Mountain Range. If necessary, help him. Mei-er's heart is not on me. I'm also focused on martial arts. Martial arts is vast and boundless. To have an opponent and a brother, it's not a waste of my time in this world. Prince Wind's spirit looked at the sky. He was a stark contrast to his previous single-minded self. He could only talk to himself about his subordinates' confusion. Whether he could understand it or not was not his business. He had lost a woman today, but he had gained a brother. If he couldn't get it, there was no point in forcing it. His master had only allowed him to marry Shan Mei-er for the sake of the alliance between the Wind Moon Palace and the Queen Palace. After saying that, he smiled and waved his hand. The space trembled slightly and a jade slip appeared in front of him. The jade slip gave off a silver light. When the silver light disappeared, the Wind Spirit Prince also disappeared, leaving the 5 martial emperors in the air. Damn it, that demonic beast, it seems like revenge is impossible. It even hit me when it stopped. Lan Tianxiang watched his little master leave and rubbed his shoulders resentfully. Thinking of that detestable demonic beast made him angry. He had clearly shouted for him to stop, but he still wanted to give him a blow. He was beaten until he saw stars. The space around them trembled. The 5 of them glanced at the soliciting Moon Mountain Range and left reluctantly. The entire soliciting Moon Mountain Range was in an uproar. Countless warriors were talking about how Maple Leaf Villa's Li Lingtian had snatched a woman and snatched her away from Wind Moon Palace's Wind Spirit Prince. It turned out that the peerless beauty, Shan Mei, was actually the princess of the Queen's palace. This made all the geniuses who had pursued Shan Mei shiver. Li Lingtian fought with Prince Feng Ling and became brothers in the end. Li Lingtian's cultivation was so profound that no one could tell what his cultivation level was. Moreover, he had a 5th-tier 8th-grade demonic beast, as well as a 5th-tier and 4th-tier demonic beast. Their strength was extremely terrifying. Some families and experts who harbored evil intentions in the soliciting Moon Mountains no longer had any thoughts of doing so. Li Lingtian's identity was different now. Even if they could defeat Li Lingtian, who would dare to endure the wrath of the Wind Spirit Prince? If the Wind Spirit Prince's brother were to defeat Li Lingtian, it would be a slap to the Wind Spirit Prince's face. Slapping the Wind Spirit Prince's face was equivalent to offending the Wind Moon Palace. Offending the Wind Moon Palace in the Azure Continent was equivalent to courting death. The Queen's Palace's princess seemed to be on Li Lingtian's side as well. With 2 of the 3 major factions involved, only a fool would dare to offend Li Lingtian. However, the owner of all the forces and martial artists' opinions was now smiling bitterly. Are you done? You ruined my reputation and integrity, and now you're still staying. Are you going to let me live? Li Lingtian sat in the room and looked at the peerless beauty across from him. Such a beauty was supposed to make all the men in the world go crazy, but Li Lingtian felt helpless now. I ruined your reputation. Who told you to provoke me? Wind Spirit said that if you dare to bully me, he will find trouble with you. Shan Mei-er sat on the bed arrogantly, a proud look on her face. Her every move was filled with a seductive charm. Now, he completely ignored Li Lingtian's bitter smile. He thought to himself, who asked you to provoke me? This is what happens. However, she felt a little depressed and unconvinced. She was peerlessly beautiful and was the goddess in the hearts of countless men. The people who pursued her could circle around the Azure Continent. As long as he nodded his head, countless geniuses would become his foundation. But in front of this young man, she was actually so pathetic. Could it be because of Yin Yao Yao? Little girl, if you anger this young master, hee hee. Li Lingtian gave a wicked smile that would disgust any girl. When Shan Mei-er saw Li Lingtian's expression, she felt a wave of fear. Even though she liked to cause trouble, she was a pure and innocent girl. If Li Lingtian really did something to him, he would be in trouble. However, when she recalled Li Lingtian's initial behavior, she was relieved. Li Lingtian was just scaring her on purpose so that she would leave. So what if I anger you? Are you going to eat me up? An innocent smile appeared on Shun Mei-er's face as she giggled. The combination of charm and purity, this was an extremely perfect stunner. This young master will eat you. A sinister smile appeared on Li Lingtian's face as the blood vessels in his body flared. A faint fragrance wafted into his nose and his consciousness drifted away. The fragrance came from Shun Mei-er's body, but Li Lingtian did not notice it at all. In a flash, he arrived before Shun Mei-er. The smile on her face gradually became a little strange. Shun Mei-er was also startled. However, Li Lingtian stopped in front of her at that moment. The two of them were less than a foot apart. Are you a demonic beast that eats humans? Shun Mei-er's lively eyes looked at Li Lingtian as her heart bloomed with joy. This fellow was just trying to scare her. This princess is not scared. Little girl, you're finished. Li Lingtian immediately pulled Shun Mei-er up and gently pulled her into his arms. The fragrance became even stronger, almost reaching his soul. Li Lingtian's blood boiled as he held her soft and tender body tightly in his arms. He did not know why he was so frivolous. Before Shun Mei-er could react, Li Lingtian had pinned her down on the bed. Shun Mei-er couldn't move at all. Looking at the handsome face in front of her, her whole body went limp. This was the first time she had come into contact with a man, and she was being pressed down like this. Her whole body trembled as if she had been electrocuted. Chapter 231, Shun Mei-er leaves. Chapter 231, Shun Mei-er leaves. The two of them looked at each other. This scene was extremely ambiguous. Li Lingtian's eyes were burning with passion. He was a normal man, so how could he resist the endless temptation of this seductive beauty? Moreover, the alluring fragrance kept tempting him, making him lose his mind. Shun Mei-er's entire body trembled as if she had been electrocuted. This was the first time she had been together with a man. She had never thought that she would go overboard with her fire. A trace of desire gradually appeared in his eyes. There was also fear in this desire. She slowly closed her eyes and wrapped her jade-like hands around Li Lingtian's neck. With a gentle tug, she pressed her seductive red lips against Li Lingtian's neck. Instantly, the two of them trembled. This feeling made them depressed and unable to extricate themselves. Gradually, Li Lingtian lost his mind completely. At this point, he could no longer control himself. With a wave of his hand, an array was cast, covering the room and closing the door. Instantly, the room was filled with the color of spring, and the sound of ecstasy could be heard. After an unknown period of time, the room finally fell silent. When Li Lingtian woke up the next day, he felt that something was amiss. Something was pressing down on his chest. It was warm, soft, and smooth like jade. He looked over and his heart trembled. A delicate and perfect body was half leaning on him, and her delicate face was buried in his chest. Yes. Li Lingtian's movement woke up the people around him. However, what left Li Lingtian speechless was that Shun Mei-er's head moved on his chest as if she was trying to sleep more comfortably. However, she soon sensed that something was amiss. She carefully opened her eyes and saw Li Lingtian staring at her. Her heart trembled as she thought of what happened yesterday. She had actually slept with this man. If she had sex with this man, her pure body would be given to this man. Now that she was completely naked, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Li Lingtian's heart was in a mess. He did not know what had happened to him yesterday, but he had lost his mind. The two of them didn't say anything. Shun Mei-er hurriedly put on her clothes. Her face was flushed red, and when she moved, a pained expression appeared on her face. She thought about how crazy the two of them were yesterday. I'm sorry. After Li Lingtian had tidied his clothes, a hint of guilt appeared on his face. He did not know what to do after doing such a thing to a girl. It's none of your business. My constitution is different from others. You can't be blamed. I'm also responsible. Shun Mei looked at Li Lingtian's expression. The elegant man had actually become so restrained. She knew how guilty Li Lingtian was. She didn't understand why she didn't feel any regret, nor did she hate the man who took her virginity. You are my man in the future. If you dare to bully me, one will not let you off. After saying that, Shun Mei flashed and left the courtyard. With a loud boom, the huge spaceship quickly flew up from Maple Leaf Manor and disappeared into the horizon. When Li Lingtian heard the commotion outside, he felt an inexplicable sense of loss. He knew that Shun Mei had left, but he did not chase after her. She had been confused and did not know why she had done such a thing. He tidied up the room. The red on the bed made his heart feel heavy. This Shun Mei looked extremely charming, but she was a pure girl. The more she was like this, the heavier his heart became. If this Shun Mei was just a bad girl, he wouldn't care so much. Moreover, Shun Mei's departure had made him feel a little disappointed. She didn't want him to feel guilty and responsible. In the Soliciting Moon Mountains, 300 years ago, a martial royal realm expert discovered an ancient cave abode. However, the cave abode was heavily guarded by traps and countless formations. No one could enter it safely. It is said that this ancient cave mansion was opened by an almighty expert tens of thousands of years ago. It opens once every 100 years. However, no one who enters can come out safely. This time, another 100 years have passed. Countless experts have gathered here for this ancient cave mansion. The alchemist Nan Ming was curious when he saw that Li Lingtian was unaware of the ancient cave abode. He then recalled that the young man was only 17 or 18 years old. Naturally, he was unaware of these things. Moreover, this was just right. He could pull in a companion. At that time, his chances would be greater. Ancient cave mansion. There's such a thing. No wonder I saw so many experts rushing over during this period of time. It turns out that they are here for the ancient cave mansion. Li Lingtian revealed an "I see" expression. Since it was an ancient cave dwelling, there should be treasures inside. The experts of the ancient cave mansion were naturally not comparable to the experts of the divine martial continent. However, he did not understand why Nan Ming would tell him. Could it be that he wanted to join forces with him? That's right. There are at least 800 to 1,000 martial royal realm experts who have entered. All the experts in Moonrise City have the chance to enter. Why don't Sir Ling Tian join hands with me? We'll split the treasures we obtain equally. The alchemist Nan Ming went straight to the point, leaving Li Lingtian stunned. Join hands? Just the two of us definitely can't do it. Sir Nan Ming should have found someone else. Li Lingtian said with a smile. With so many powerhouses entering, the chances of obtaining the treasure were slim. Of course, I've already found 3 people. When the time comes, if we join forces, we'll have more chances to fight. Moreover, I know a little about the seats inside. Coupled with Sir Ling Tian's array Dao, it won't be difficult to obtain the treasure. Nanming laughed as well. Li Lingtian's alchemy Dao was formidable and his strength was profound. Furthermore, he was more knowledgeable in array Dao. During the recent battle, it was believed that no one else other than Li Lingtian would be able to cast this defensive array in Maple Leaf Villa. There were traps and formations everywhere in the ancient cave dwelling. If there was someone who knew formations, the chances would be much higher. 1C. I wonder if one know the 3 of them and how strong they are. Also, there must be a certain limit to entering the ancient cavern abode. Otherwise, there would be countless experts in the Soliciting Moon Mountain Range and the Soliciting Moon City. In that case, the ancient cavern abode would not be overcrowded. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment. He knew that there were many simple entrances to this cave abode. Otherwise, Nanming would not have sought him out. In the Azure Continent, he had a quota to go to Hidden Dragon Island and Heavenly Devil Canyon. In the Azure Continent, the rules should be similar. Chapter 232, Chapter 232, Farewell to Yun Yao Yao. Chapter 232, Farewell to Yun Yao Yao. Sir Ling Tian is right. There are indeed many restrictions in there. Each sect only has 2 slots to enter. Only martial emperors can enter. Martial emperors who enter have to pay Lu million lower spiritual stones to buy a teleportation pearl. Only martial emperors with teleportation beads can enter and resist the most basic decaying qi inside. Alchemist Nanming smiled. 100 million spirit stones for each Atartial emperor was indeed not something an ordinary expert could afford. Moreover, each sect only had 2 slots. Even if a super sect had spirit stones, only 2 people could enter. However, there were also some sects and families who faked it and took the spots from some small factions. Because some middle-class families and sects simply couldn't take out 200 million spirit stones, and going in would be suicide, this quota naturally went to the super sections. Oh, 1C. It seems that Sir Nanming is not a clan or a sect. Li Lingtian was shocked as well. If that was the case, some of the super sects would have a chance to take advantage of it. A normal sect could send 2 people in, but a super sect could send a dozen people in. If that was the case, some lone martial emperors would be killed. Nanming had come to find him to join forces, probably because he was worried that such a thing would happen. A few years ago, when one was refining pills for a few sects, one obtained a teleportation pearl. If Sir Ling Tian goes, I can give you one at the original price. Alchemist Nanming took out a teleportation bead. The teleportation bead was the size of a fist, and it emitted a wood elemental aura. Even though it was a pearl made of wood, there were countless arrays within it. Li Lingtian could easily tell that the pearl was unusual with just one look. It should be about time for the opening of the ancient cave dwelling. Li Lingtian did not say whether he wanted the teleportation pearl or not. Instead, he was concerned about the time it would be activated. Although the price of the teleportation pearl was a little expensive, there must be some good treasures in it since it could attract the experts of Moonrise Mountain Range and Moonrise City to compete for it. It would not be a loss if he could get some. It will open in 3 days. 3 days later? That's right. Countless sects and forces have gathered here, waiting for the opening of the ancient cave dwelling. Since Sir Nanming thinks so highly of me, then I will risk my life to accompany you. Alright, that's it. You only need 10 million for this teleportation bead. Li Lingtian did not say anything further. The Nanming alchemist was extremely famous in the soliciting Moon Mountains and he believed that he would not provoke him for a mere 10 million spiritual stones. Even if there was a conspiracy, it would be in the ancient cave abode. According to him, there were countless experts in Moonrise City and the Moonrise Mountains, so he did not dare to act rashly. After putting away the teleportation pearl, Alchemist Nanming bade farewell and left. He would meet them in the Demon King Cave in the depths of the soliciting Moon Mountains in 3 days. All the experts were gathered at that place. The Demon King Cave was also the critical point of the ancient cave dwelling. Li Lingtian watched Nanming leave with a faint smile on his face. He was still too inexperienced to be treated as cannon fodder. Although Nanming was a 3rd-level martial emperor, he was not on the same level as the experts of other families and sections. In a place like that, who cared what kind of spirit alchemist or divine array master you were? Treasures were the most important. No one would easily offend an alchemist outside, but in such a dangerous place, alchemists were still targets to be killed. Moreover, that place was a place where they could kill their opponents. If they did not resolve their hatred and grudges in that place, it would be difficult outside. Nanming saw that his strength was not bad, coupled with his identity as a demon beast. Otherwise, he would not have found him. Li Lingtian gave a brief explanation and said that he would be leaving for a period of time in 2 days. He didn't need to worry about Maple Leaf Manor. As long as he wasn't a fool, he wouldn't easily provoke Maple Leaf Manor. Yun Yao Yao was the one who was most worried about him. Ever since Shun Mei came, Yun Yao Yao had always felt sour about their relationship. He didn't know what his junior brother and Shun Mei did that night. Moreover, He didn't know if Shun Mei would return after she left. On the surface, Shun Mei looked extremely charming, but she was a pure girl. Moreover, it was the kind that was extremely pure. It was just that under the influence of her body of charm, purity and charm were fused together. Such a girl was peerless and beautiful. It would be strange if his junior brother didn't like her. Although he and Shun Mei had their own merits, Shun Mei's identity made all the men in the world go crazy over her. The princess of the Queen's palace, the future master of the Queen's palace. With the identity of the Queen's palace, it was enough to make the powers of the Azure continent wary. He thought about how he had been naked when he came into contact with the 9 absolute meridians some time ago. The relationship between the two of them was ambiguous and her heart had changed. If Li Lingtian ignored her, she did not know what to do. Junior brother, be careful when the time comes. Senior sister will wait for your safe return. Yun Yao looked at Li Lingtian. No one could stand in his way. All she could do was silently give him her blessings and support. His cultivation base was too low, so it would only add to Li Lingtian's troubles if he went. The only thing he could do now was to cultivate diligently. When he became stronger one day, he would be able to roam the world with Li Lingtian. The Queen's Palace, the Wind Moon Palace, the House of Storms. If he had the backing of the 3 major forces, he could also help his junior brother. Perhaps he had a power like the Queen's Palace, so he wouldn't lose to Shun Mei. Li Lingtian and Yun Yao had never expected that a mysterious force would appear in the Azure continent 2 years later. Although this force was not as powerful as the Wind Moon Palace, it was not something the 10 great families could compare to. Intelligence was everywhere in the world, and all the intelligence was controlled by this mysterious crystal pavilion. Similarly, no one in the Divine Martial Continent had seen the Pavilion Master's true face. And this force had appeared because of Shun Mei's influence. I understand. Senior sister, Maple Leaf Manor is in a difficult situation. After you removed the 9 terminal meridians, your cultivation speed has increased greatly. Take these spirit stones and pills to cultivate. When one come out, 1 foot 11 inches guide you on your cultivation. By then, I'll definitely be a fairy who looks down on the world. Li Lingtian reached out and caressed Yun Yao's jade-like face. This senior sister was so beautiful that she could topple a city. If he was someone who was content with his current situation, he would never leave Maple Leaf Villa. After saying that, he activated his divine consciousness in the Divine Dragon Ring. He had collected countless storage pouches in the Divine Dragon Ring, and he could use them now. A total of 500 million spirit stones, as well as countless pills and weapons, were stored in the storage bag. These pills, spirit stones, and weapons were enough for Yun Yao to use until she reached the Martial Emperor realm. Yes, I'll wait for you. If one reached the Martial Royal realm, 1 foot 11 inches marry you. Yun Yao reached out her little hand, her little face flushed red, looking extremely cute. She reached out her little hand and clenched her pink fist, her jade-like little finger making a pinky gesture. Li Lingtian smiled and extended his right hand as well. The two of them made a pinky promise like children. By the way, senior sister, when I was adventuring in the past, I obtained a kind of fruit, the 1,000-year-old vermilion fruit. It has the effect of preserving one's youth and can also improve one's physique. Li Lingtian took out a vermilion fruit. In the past, he had not recovered his cultivation base, so it was not appropriate for him to take out some good items. Now that he had recovered, he was not afraid of a 1,000-year-old vermilion fruit. Really? That's great. Thank you, junior brother. Yun Yao was excited when she saw the blood-red fruit that was almost translucent. As long as it was a fruit that could retain one's youth, no girl would not be tempted. All women in the world cared about their looks. Especially beautiful girls, they all wanted to stay young forever. Seeing the fruit, Yun Yao hurriedly snatched it over and hugged it in her arms, as if she was worried that someone would snatch it. Li Lingtian stared at Yun Yao's chest and chuckled. Yun Yao was stunned for a moment before she understood what was going on. Her face was flushed red. The last time he removed the 9 absolute meridians, he was only left with a tube top. However, it was not enough to hide it, and Li Lingtian saw everything. Now that she saw Li Lingtian's smile, she naturally thought of the situation that day. Now that she thought about it, she felt like she was looking for a hole to hide in. "Senior sister, take care." Li Lingtian looked at the sky. 3 days was neither too long nor too short, but he knew nothing about the soliciting moon mountains, so he had no choice but to enter first. "Junior brother, you should call me elder sister Yao Yao. Senior sister will always wait for junior brother to return." Seeing that Li Lingtian was about to leave, Yun Yao Yao's joy from earlier vanished. Even with the vermilion fruit on her, she was not in the mood anymore. If Li Lingtian were to leave, what use would it be for the vermilion fruit to remain forever youthful? "Yao Yao sis." Li Lingtian nodded as he called out gently. The thunderclap wings appeared and he disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already 20 miles away. He didn't want to see the tears of a beautiful woman. Love was always the weakness of martial artists. After he reached the 3rd rank of martial arts grandmaster, the thunderclap wings could also reduce the teleportation distance of the thunderclap wings by 20 miles. Tears rolled down Yun Yao Yao's cheeks as she watched Li Lingtian disappear. "I must become strong." She turned around and walked into Maple Leaf Manor. The other disciples didn't dare to disturb Yun Yao Yao when they saw her expression. For the next few days, Yun Yao Yao didn't leave her room. Li Lingtian was reluctant to part with her, but there were times when a man's actions could not be avoided. There were still many things that he had to complete. Tang Zimeng from Azure Continent and Tang Qingyue from Azure Continent. These were all things that he had to resolve. If he wanted to solve these problems, he had to become stronger. A martial arts grandmaster might be an expert, but he was nothing in front of a martial emperor. In the Azure Continent, there were countless martial emperors and martial supremacies. With his cultivation, he was not even comparable to an ant. What qualifications did he have to accomplish these things? The soliciting Moon Mountain Range was the first starting point for his Azure Continent. He had to make good use of this starting point. His body flashed rapidly, and he kept his thunderclap wings. A long sword flew out, and he flew toward the depths of the soliciting Moon Mountains. Chapter 233, Old Monster Tianming, 1. Chapter 233, Old Monster Tianming, 1. The soliciting Moon Mountain Range had a radius of several 100,000 miles, and this was only the length of the outer edge of the mountain range. No one dared to enter the depths of the mountain range. It was said that there were terrifying demonic beasts and some unknown dangers in the depths. Even powerful martial artists would get lost if they went deep. It was like a maze everywhere. However, during this period of time, countless experts had entered the depths together. Because the ancient cave abode opened once every 100 years, no one knew what treasures were in the ancient cave abode. It was not only the forces of Moonrise Mountain Range that had entered the city, but also the forces and experts from other places in Moonrise City. There were even figures of powerful cultivators outside soliciting Moon City. No matter what, there were always some fakes. The bigger the fist, the more reason. Even though Li Lingtian was reluctant to part with it, he could only endure it as he swiftly traversed the mountain range. Occasionally, they would encounter 1 or 2 powerful martial emperors. Among the martial emperors who came here, a few of them knew Li Lingtian. However, Li Lingtian did not recognize any of them. Nevertheless, no one would cause trouble outside the cave abode because they knew that no matter who won or lost, they would end up like mantises pouncing on cicadas. I didn't expect the spiritual energy in the soliciting Moon Mountains to be so dense. No wonder those experts chose to build their residences in the soliciting Moon Mountains. Li Lingtian muttered to himself as he flew. Although a martial arts grandmaster could fly in the air, it was much more energy efficient to use sword kinesis flight. It was best if he did not expend too much quintessential essence. 3 days was just the opening of the ancient cave dwelling. It was not said that the ancient cave dwelling would be closed in 3 days. Moreover, this ancient cave abode would only open for a month. If they could not find their way out after a month, they would stay inside forever. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom. Boom. From time to time, the sound of flying ships and the sound of experts flying through the air could be heard. Li Lingtian was the only one who flew in at a moderate pace. Many powerhouses looked at him with disdain when they saw that he had no cultivation base. For such a martial artist to be able to ride a flying sword, he was definitely not a martial arts grandmaster. There were also many warriors like this who came to the depths, but they did not go in. This was because these martial arts grandmasters and martial kings were only here to kill the demonic beasts and watch the show. 2 days passed. On the third day, Li Lingtian finally arrived at the deepest part of the mountain range. He didn't know whether it was the deepest part of the cave or not, because other than spiritual energy, there was also a terrifying miasma here. If one's cultivation was low, they would feel dizzy and even die here if they weren't careful. The deeper they flew, the more experts they encountered. Moreover, these experts were all martial emperors. Martial kings and martial grandmasters were rarely seen. Li Lingtian stopped in front of a huge canyon. There were more than 2,000 powerhouses in front of the canyon. Half of them were martial emperors, while the rest of the martial arts grandmasters and martial kings were there to watch the show. Old monster Tianming, I didn't expect you to come as well. A loud and clear voice sounded. When the voice fell, an old man floated in the air strangely and swept his gaze down sharply. His eyes fell on an old man at the 8th level of the martial emperor realm. The old man's hair and beard were all white, but his whole body was in a mess, like a beggar. Hearing this voice, countless experts looked at the old man with fear on their faces. There was more than one rank 8 martial emperor present, but when they saw the old man, they were terrified. It turned out that this old monster Tianming naturally liked women, especially virgins under the age of 20. There were at least 8,000 women who had their plucked to death by his hands. Moreover, they were all ferocious by nature. All the women who had been plucked by him had died tragically. More importantly, this old monster Tianming was terrifyingly powerful. Almost no one in the same level was his match. Even a few 9th-level martial emperors had died in his hands. Old Ghost Dark Abyss, aren't you here as well? Hee. Old monster Tianming's gaze left the women and looked at old Ghost Ming in the air. He then revealed a mischievous smile. The two of them could be said to have the same bad taste. One was born with a love for women, while the other was born with a love for killing. He refined the souls and true chi of martial artists and finally turned them into his own cultivation. He even refined countless puppets. There were countless innocent martial artists in the Dark Abyss flag. The Dark Abyss Old Ghost was also an 8th-level martial emperor. He would not let go of any martial artists or ordinary people. He had once slaughtered 6 towns in a row in 10 days, and these towns were all places where ordinary warriors and ordinary people lived. Hundreds of thousands of ordinary people were killed and their souls were refined into puppets. Li Lingtian looked at the 2 Tier 8 martial emperors with a calm expression on his face. However, he felt a tinge of fear in his heart. If he were to be with a martial emperor, he would not have any advantage at all. Any random expert could make him feel afraid. This strength was what was important. The 2 8th-level martial emperors were meditating and resting, waiting for the opening of the ancient cave mansion. In the sky, a super expert flew over from time to time. Their cultivation was all existences above Tier 5. Rumble. With a deafening boom, a gigantic spaceship appeared in the sky. Li Lingtian was shocked when he looked up. The person on the spaceship was someone he was familiar with, and someone who made him feel inexplicable. Shun Mei's face was still smiling flirtatiously, but there was a tinge of sadness in her smile. Only Li Lingtian could sense this sadness. Behind Shun Mei, there were 5 super experts. 4 of them were at the 7th level of the martial emperor realm, and 1 was at the 8th level. The flying ship arrived in front of the canyon of the Demon King Cave, but it did not land. Instead, it floated in the air. Countless experts were shocked, and many proud sons of heaven smiled when they saw Shun Mei on the flying ship. Old monster Tianming had an evil smile on his face, but when he saw the symbol on the spaceship, he felt a trace of fear. I didn't expect the people from the Queen's palace to be here. It's really lively. At this moment, another super expert flew over. He was a peak 8th level martial emperor, and his entire body emitted a faint scholarly aura. Hasn't Master Duanyu of the Haran faction also come? On the spaceship, the leader of the group, an 8th level martial emperor, said loudly with a proud look on his face. I heard that there are many treasures in the soliciting Moon Mountain's ancient cave abode. I'm here to join in the fun. Scholar Duanyu laughed and said loudly. He then descended and found a quiet place to meditate and rest. From time to time, a powerful martial emperor would come from behind. These martial emperors were all reputable figures in Moonrise City. Li Lingtian took a quick look and found that those who came were mostly martial emperors. Moreover, there were 7 rank 8 martial emperors and 1 rank 9 martial emperor. There were more than 30 rank 7 martial emperors, hundreds of rank 5 and 6 martial emperors, and the rest were all powerful. He closed his eyes to rest, but his mood could not calm down. Shun Mei was smiling as she looked at Li Lingtian intentionally or unintentionally. However, Li Lingtian was meditating and resting. Yin Ming's lips kept opening and closing as he glanced at the flying ship. A hint of fear appeared on his face. In the Azure continent, anyone could be provoked, but not the Wind Moon Palace, Queen's Palace, and House of Storms. Since you know my hobby, you will know that I will make a move. As long as you help me this time, I will not let you down. Don't you want the Yin God Pearl? If you help me, I'll give it to you. What do you think? Old monster Tianming revealed an evil smile as he stared at old ghost Yin Ming in the distance. Really, you will really take out the Yin God Pearl? This Yin God Pearl is your life-saving treasure. It would be strange if you took it out. If you give me the Yin God Pearl, I'll risk my life. But I can't do it here. I'll find a chance to kill all of them. I can't let anyone know. The old ghost Yin Ming became excited, and his eyes lit up. He had wanted to obtain this Yin God Pearl for a long time. If he could obtain it, his Yin Ming flag's strength would increase dramatically. His own cultivation could also be raised to the 9th level of the martial Emperor realm, or even reach the peak. However, it was impossible to snatch the Yin God Pearl from old monster Tianming. Moreover, old monster Tianming had never relented. Now that he was willing to take out the Yin God Pearl, he was puzzled. To tell you the truth, this girl's body of charm will allow my cultivation to increase rapidly if I dual cultivate. With this girl, I can break through to the 8th level of the martial emperor realm in less than 2 years. Moreover, if I miss such a girl, I'll have lived my life in vain. Otherwise, do you think I would take out the Yin God Pearl? Old weirdo Tianming said telepathically with an excited smile on his face, as if he had already reached the 9th level of the martial emperor realm, as if this peerless person had already made love in front of him. Li Lingtian did not know what they were talking about, but he could sense their divine perception through voice transmission. He knew that his divine perception was not strong enough. If he were to reach the rank of a martial emperor, his divine perception would surpass these few martial emperors and he would be able to intercept their voice transmission. He also noticed that the two of them would occasionally glance at Shun Mei on the flying ship. He was sure that the two of them were communicating with Shun Mei. He felt a bitter smile in his heart. This Shun Mei was a natural beauty, she would become the target of others wherever she went. Fortunately, there was the existence of a transcending power like the Queen's Palace. Otherwise, they would have been finished long ago. However, he also understood that there were countless super experts who had evil intentions. As long as they did it discreetly, the Queen's Palace would not be able to find out who did it. However, at this moment, a voice transmission was heard and Li Lingtian smiled faintly. Chapter 234, Chapter 234, Silver Worm, 1. Chapter 234, Silver Worm, 1. Nanming had also come. Although he was only a third-level martial emperor, there was at least a guide inside. While Nan Ming was using it, he was also being used by others. In this world, no matter what the situation was, they would use each other. Sir Ling Tian, you're early. There was a hint of joy in the voice. Li Ling Tian looked in the direction of the voice transmission and saw an elderly man in gray being blocked by a gray halo in a hidden corner. If he had not spoken telepathically, Li Ling Tian would not have been able to find him. Li Ling Tian felt an inexplicable sense of vigilance when he saw this. 2. Sir Nan Ming, you've already arrived. I thought you weren't coming. Li Ling Tian smiled. Although he was on guard, he did not show it. The more vigilant he was, the more relaxed he should be on the surface so that the other party would not hide it further. On the flying ship, Shun Mei looked at the person in her line of sight with a faint smile on her face. Her lips kept opening and closing. She knew who she was talking to. Almost every martial artist here used secret sound transmission. That elegant and graceful person could no longer be erased from the bottom of his heart. As time passed, the Big Dipper appeared in the sky at midnight. The 7 stars slowly formed a string. Countless experts became serious as they looked at the 7 stars' alignment in the sky. As long as the 7 stars were aligned, the ancient cave abode would open. This was the pattern that had been studied for the past 300 years. Tisk! The 7 stars aligned in the sky, and a dazzling ray of light shot down. In an instant, the light passed through the sky and landed on the ground. A 100-meter-wide circle of light appeared on the ground, and a mysterious array altar appeared. The array altar was built according to the 9 palaces and 8 trigrams. The light circle activated the array altar and it began to emit waves of light. Sir Ling Tian, wait for us at the bottom of the 9th mountain peak after we enter. The array altar lit up, and countless experts walked up one by one. Every expert who went up carried a wood elemental pearl. As soon as it went up, it was swallowed by the light and disappeared. At this moment, Nan Ming transmitted his voiceover. From his tone, it seemed like he knew quite a bit about the inside. Don't worry, Sir Nan Ming. Li Ling Tian sent a voice transmission over. When he looked at the spot again after his voice faded, Nan Ming had long disappeared. He had no idea where he had gone to and he was nowhere to be seen on the array altar. You guys go back first. I'll protect the princess. The 8th-level Martial Royal Realm young man behind Shun Mei said to the 4 Martial Royal Realm experts. Since the princess wanted to enter, they could only protect her. Moreover, he did not dare to report to the Queen's palace. This was also the princess's order. 8th Commander, 1 foot 11 inches, leave the princess to you. Our lives are in your hands. The 4 martial emperors said seriously with bitter smiles on their faces. A girl from the warrior spirit realm was courting death by entering the ancient cave mansion. If anything happened to the princess, their lives would be in danger. Don't tell anyone about my whereabouts. After Shun Mei finished speaking, her body flashed and she flew down. In the blink of an eye, she had entered the array altar. When she entered the array altar, she intentionally glanced at Li Ling Tian. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless martial artists entered the array altar. In a moment, the 7 stars' alignment gradually shifted, and the light on the array altar gradually weakened. When Li Ling Tian saw that there were no more warriors entering, his body flashed and he disappeared mysteriously. When he reappeared, he was already on the array altar. The moment Li Ling Tian entered the array altar, the wood elemental pearl trembled for a moment before it swallowed him. It was as if he had entered a space-time tunnel. In 3 seconds, his body trembled and he left the space-time tunnel. He appeared on a flat ground. There were countless martial artists here, and this teleportation array was a fixed direction. When he was sent out, everyone was together. However, Shun Mei and the 8th commander were nowhere to be seen. Li Ling Tian glanced around and pondered for a moment before he quickly ran in a certain direction. The 9th mountain peak was a completely different world. The so-called ancient cave dwelling seemed to be an independent space built in the soliciting Moon Mountains. Thousands of martial artists came in, but after dispersing, not many could be seen. When Li Lingtian arrived at the 9th mountain peak, there were already 5 warriors waiting there. Among the 5 martial artists, 4 were at the 3rd level of the martial emperor realm, and 1 was at the 4th level. The heaven-breaking pavilion is here. Nanming returned to his original appearance without hiding anything. He smiled when he saw Li Lingtian's arrival. Sir Nanming. Li Lingtian looked at the Nanming alchemist indifferently. He had mentioned 3 before, but now there was 1 more. Naturally, he had to ask. Oh, let me introduce you. This is Sir Lin Xiao, this is Sir Lu Yu, and this is Sir Jiang Wei. This is His Excellency Gu Lanqing. He just joined us when we were outside. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Li Lingtian, the alchemist. He's extremely skilled in alchemy and possesses great strength. Alchemist Nanming introduced the few martial emperors to Li Lingtian before he introduced Li Lingtian to the other 4 martial emperors. Greetings, sirs. Li Lingtian smiled and greeted the few martial emperors with a fist salute. The few martial emperors were polite and did not look down on Li Lingtian despite his lack of cultivation. On the contrary, they looked solemn. In front of a martial emperor, he could not see through the other party's cultivation. Either he had cultivated a magical cultivation method, or his strength was terrifying. No matter what, this young man could not be provoked casually. Moreover, he had come here to join forces to search for treasures. Let's go. After a brief greeting, alchemist Nanming led Li Lingtian and the others away. This ancient cave abode was called a cave abode, but this place was also a paradise, a place where mighty experts cultivated. No one knew how big this place was. Li Lingtian did not know what the Nanming alchemist was capable of to be so familiar with this place. The group of people didn't say anything and kept flying with alchemist Nanming. After flying for an entire day, the Nanming alchemist's face turned grave. Sir Nanming, what's wrong? Lin Xiao asked indifferently when he saw Nanming stop. His face revealed an excited expression, thinking that he had arrived. However, Nanming's next words stunned them, and a faint bitter smile appeared on their faces. In front, there are silver bugs, grade 4 silver bugs. Nanming said indifferently as he looked at the few martial artists beside him. A silver insect, a 4th stage silver insect. What's there to be afraid of? We're all martial emperors. Jiang Wei asked in confusion. Among them, he was the only one who didn't recognize the silver insects. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy. The 4th tier silver bugs aren't that scary. The main thing is that silver bugs are group creatures. There are hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of them. Silver bugs reproduce very quickly. If we get the silver bug king, we can reproduce tens of thousands of silver bugs in a year. Moreover, silver bugs rely on the flesh and blood of their own kind to increase their cultivation. The newly born silver bugs are already at level 2. In a year, they can advance to level 3. If they increase their level later on, that terror is beyond our imagination. Nanming alchemist said seriously. Then, they carefully extended their divine senses out, but they did not find any silver bugs. Li Lingtian was shocked as well. Tier 4 was not scary, but a large group of Tier 4 was. Tier 4 was equivalent to a martial arts grandmaster. If hundreds of martial arts grandmasters attacked you, you would definitely die. I wonder if anyone has any way to deal with these silver bugs? Furthermore, there are a few more dangerous passes ahead. After you've dealt with this one, you can rest in the next place. Alchemist Nanming said earnestly as he looked at Li Lingtian and the others. Li Lingtian was puzzled. This Nanming was so familiar with this place that it was as if it was his backyard. Although there was no sign of the silver malicious insects, Li Lingtian believed that Nanming would not speak nonsense. CC. Those who were initially suspicious had their expressions changed drastically when they heard the voice in the air. A silver object pressed down from the sky, and it carried a shocking pressure. Silver bugs, tens of thousands of silver bugs. The few of them were shocked, and the expressions on their faces became fearful. Tens of thousands of fourth-grade silver insects, let alone martial emperors, even martial honors would find it difficult to deal with. Over 10,000 silver bugs, each of them was the size of a fist, and their entire bodies were silver. The silver insects immediately blocked the sky within a 100-meter radius as they quickly flew toward Li Lingtian and the others. Attack! Blazing flame explosion. Flame gold annihilation. Boundless moon slash. Flaming divine fist. Ice sealing sword rain. Earth burst. The 6 of them were shocked when they saw tens of thousands of silver bugs flying over. They began to attack the silver bugs with their own attacks. A shocking explosion sounded in the air, but these silver bugs were all martial ancestor level, so they could only kill 1 or 2 at a time. Instantly, the 6 of them were surrounded by tens of thousands of silver bugs. Rumble. Explosions rang out, but such an attack was not worth mentioning at all. There were too many silver bugs. Heaven and earth burning. Li Lingtian cast the True Dragon Body Barrier, and the light shield of the True Dragon Body Barrier temporarily kept the silver malicious worms outside. He circulated the vital essence in his body and used the heaven and earth conflagration. Immediately, a flame with a radius of 10 meters shot into the sky. Countless silver bugs were turned into ashes, but there were simply no end to the tens of thousands of silver bugs. Moreover, there was another terrifying thing. The protective shields of the other martial monarch experts could not withstand the attacks of the silver bugs at all. The silver bug completely ignored the martial monarch's protective shield. However, they were shocked to see that Li Lingtian's defense could withstand the silver malicious worms. Li Lingtian was well aware that he had cultivated the true dragon's body barrier, which allowed him to withstand the attacks of a 5 princes powerhouse. Furthermore, the dragon energy was extremely mysterious and demonic beasts could not pose a threat to it. The 5 martial emperors could only kill a few silver bugs each time, but they had to face the attacks of countless silver bugs. As long as they were bitten, they would be drowned in the blink of an eye. Be careful, I'll handle this place. Li Lingtian pondered for a moment. He was the only one who could deal with the silver malicious insects in this place. The few skills he cultivated all had group attacks. Ice Vitality Divine Fist, Icebound 1,000 miles. His body exuded a frightening chill and the space around him seemed to have frozen. At the same time, Li Lingtian slammed his fist into the ground and a 1-mile-wide glacier appeared. The 5 martial monarchs and all the silver bugs were turned into ice sculptures. Li Lingtian's ice sculpture did not have much effect on the 5 monarchs, but the 5 martial monarchs did not dare to break the ice sculpture. If they did, they would be attacked by the silver bugs. 11. Recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. I welcome everyone to read and save it. I also want to vote for it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Chapter 235, Chapter 235, Heavenly Toad, 1. Chapter 235, Heavenly Toad, 1. However, what Li Lingtian did not expect was that his Tier 3 Martial Arts Grandmaster Ice Vitality Divine Fist could freeze a Tier 9 Martial Arts Grandmaster at least. However, he did not expect to be instantly broken through by these Tier 4 Level 1 silver bugs. Crash! The 1-mile-wide glacier was shattered into pieces. 5 martial emperors emerged once again, and the tens of thousands of silver malicious beetles did not pause for even a moment before they flew toward Li Lingtian and the others in an overwhelming manner. All! In the blink of an eye, Lu Yu was bitten by hundreds of silver bugs. His clothes and flesh were devoured. As the Jin Yuan flowed out rapidly, more silver bugs smelled the blood. In the blink of an eye, 1/3 of the silver bugs had arrived on Lu Yu's body. Screams and a final cry. The 3rd-level martial emperor was swallowed just like that. There was not even a bone left. Li Lingtian and the others nearly vomited when they saw this. They were shocked and terrified. You guys go first, I will confine them for a while. Li Lingtian could not care less when he saw the situation before him. If these people were all dead, he would have wasted his trip. After saying that, he extended his hand, and the ice river split appeared in his hand. The ice river split was obtained from the ice dragon hull, and it was also a saint artifact. The ice saint weapon was extremely powerful. Li Lingtian's ice soul marshal's soul rarely used this saint weapon. He waved his hand, and the entire space froze. Snow fell from the sky, and glaciers formed in the blink of an eye. When the glacier was formed, the remaining 4 Force Emperors were also frozen. This time, they were truly frozen. Even a martial emperor would not be able to break free, and tens of thousands of silver bugs were naturally frozen inside. "Let's go!" Li Lingtian shouted loudly. Although the glacier was powerful, the glacier began to tremble rapidly as tens of thousands of silver insects continued to devour it. If this continued, the glacier would not be able to hold on for long. Lin Xiao and the rest were grateful to Li Lingtian for letting them leave at this time. They could not understand this young man. Rumble. After a series of explosions, the glacier beside the 4 Force Emperors loosened. Seizing this opportunity, the 4 Force Emperors dashed forward without any hesitation. In the blink of an eye, they were miles away. Ice Flame. Li Lingtian smiled as he watched the 4 martial emperors leave. With one hand and one body, a ball of icy frost flame appeared. The appearance of the icy frost flame instantly turned the glacier into a terrifying sight. Tens of thousands of silver bugs also let out terrified cries, as if they had seen their nemesis. 2. Yes. The heaven and earth creation cauldron was activated. A mysterious light flashed and then the 10 largest silver bugs were kept inside. These silver bugs were different from the others because their auras were different from the others. Moreover, all the silver bugs showed traces of fear when they encountered these silver bugs. It was obvious that these silver bugs were the kings of these silver bugs. As long as they were captured, they could reproduce countless silver bugs in the future. Ice River Split, Destruction. After he was done, he waved Glacier's rift in his hand and the glacier that was on the verge of collapsing solidified once again. It was at this moment that the thunderclap wings appeared on Li Lingtian's shoulder and he disappeared into the glacier. When he reappeared, he was already 20 miles away. He used his soul consciousness to search and found that 4 martial emperors were flying non-stop. It was obvious that they were scared of the silver bugs. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After a short while, Li Lingtian landed and sent a voice transmission to Nanming who was in front of him. "Sir Nanming, wait." Li Lingtian's face was filled with shock as he kept his thunderclap wings. He did not want these people to see his strength. In such a place, hiding a portion of his strength was beneficial to him. "Sir Lingtian, how is it?" Upon hearing Li Lingtian's voice transmission, the alchemist Nanming and the rest stopped in their tracks. When they saw Li Lingtian catching up to them, they were puzzled as they wondered what had happened to the terrifying silver malicious worms. And these ugly silver insects are really despicable. They destroyed one of my treasures. I barely managed to escape, but I almost lost my life. Li Lingtian's face was filled with fear, leaving the few martial emperors with no doubt. Lu Yu, who was a Tier 3 martial emperor, had disappeared in the blink of an eye. They had also experienced the power of the silver malicious worm. If Li Lingtian was not injured and scared, they would have been shocked. "Sir Lingtian, recuperate first. There's Tian Chan in front, a Tier 5, Tier 6 Tian Chan. Everyone, be careful." Nanming took a glance at Li Lingtian and took out a jade slip from his storage pouch. He began to read it before he spoke in a serious tone. A level 5, level 6 heavenly toad was equivalent to a level 6 martial emperor. Moreover, this heavenly toad was also highly toxic, and any martial artist who came into contact with it would turn into blood. Even a martial royal realm expert would not dare to provoke them easily. He did not expect that there would be such a thing blocking his way. "Sir Nanming, can't you take a detour?" Lin Xiao asked in confusion. The silver malicious beetles were flying demonic beasts, and they came in groups. They couldn't be dodged even if they wanted to. However, the heavenly toad was only a demonic beast, so it could naturally take a detour. Li Lingtian and the others were also looking at Nan Ming, waiting for his explanation. This was a place that Nan Ming was most familiar with. You may not know this, but the path behind that heavenly toad is the only way. Moreover, only after killing heavenly toad can you enter. It is also a shortcut to enter the ancient cave mansion. Nan Ming revealed a bitter smile and explained the reason for the matter. Immediately, everyone had an expression of understanding. Since that's the case, there's no other way. 2. Yeah, let's go and take a look. Level 5, Level 6. As long as the few of us work together, one believe there won't be any problem. Jiang Wei and Lin Shaoan nodded their heads as they spoke. Only Gu Lanqing remained silent. Li Lingtian did not meditate and rest. Instead, he followed the group and within 10 minutes, they arrived at a huge canyon. There were cliffs on both sides, and the canyon was only 30 meters wide. In such a place, if there were demon beasts blocking the way, they could only fight head-on. Coo, coo. Coo, coo. Muffled sounds rang out, sounding like thunder. The 5 of them looked ahead and saw a 3-meter-long toad in the middle. Terrifying demonic power erupted from its body, and not a single blade of grass grew around the toad. A faint mist drifted out. Wherever this mist passed, even the rocks melted. Be careful, it's poisonous fog. 2. Gu Lanqing shouted loudly as he retreated in a flash. Li Lingtian was at the back. Since he had already dealt with the silver insect alone, he would not be allowed to do anything now. With a wave of his hand, the true dragon barrier was activated. A faint light barrier blocked the poisonous fog outside. He had also discovered the benefits of the true dragon chi now. Demonic beasts and poisonous creatures had no effect on him at all. The toad did not catch up to them after they retreated 100 meters. Then, they walked forward again. However, when they were 10 meters away from the toad exploded with a shocking poisonous fog and made a cooing sound as if it was demonstrating its power. They looked at the toad and then at the cave behind it. It seemed that they had to kill the toad before they could enter. Do it. Gu Lanqing said loudly. After that, a huge axe fell into the distance. Nan Ming, Lin Shao, and Jiang Wei, the 4 martial emperors, all unleashed their powerful attacks. Instantly, a series of shocking explosions erupted in the canyon. Li Lingtian was meditating and resting at the side. The 4 martial emperors did not say anything. After all, they had already agreed at the beginning that as long as the first stage was resolved, there was no need for them to do anything else. Rumble. With the last explosion, the 5th and 6th level sky toad died. The ground was covered in dark green blood. An inner core and a pitch-black poison gall appeared in everyone's sight. Li Lingtian had just finished his meditation. He looked at the poison gall on the ground with an excited expression. The poison gall might not be useful to others, but it was very useful to him. I want this poison gall. It should be good for refining medicinal pills. Brother Gu, the 3 of you handle the inner core. Nan Ming said. His spirit alchemist was naturally determined to get this poison gall. Moreover, it was useless for the other martial emperors to come. Li Lingtian smiled to himself without showing any change in his expression. Soon, the 3 of them finished processing the materials and inner core of the heavenly toad. Alright, let's go in now. There shouldn't be any threats. It'll depend on Sir Lingtian's ability now. Nan Ming chuckled and took the lead to walk into the cave. Gu Lanqing's face froze for a moment before he followed suit. Li Lingtian, Jiang Wei, and Lin Shao followed closely behind. Since they had come this far, they could not possibly return empty-handed. Li Lingtian grew increasingly wary as he had a bad feeling about Nan Ming. Although he was a Tier 3 martial emperor, he was too familiar with this place. This was puzzling. Moreover, the others didn't say it because they didn't know his strength, but Nan Ming knew. He had a level 5 level 8 silver-winged flying dragon, multicolored beast, and jade-eyed beast. With such strength, no martial artist would invite an expert who was stronger than them to take the risk. Yet, he came to find him. This was what he did not understand the most. After entering the cave, the flash wasn't big. There was an endless passage inside, which was dark and damp. Moreover, looking at this passageway, it was obvious that it was opened up by martial artists. It was unknown how many tens of thousands of years this passageway had been opened up. It was covered in moss. After walking for more than 10 minutes, the 5 of them finally arrived at a stone room that was not small. There was nothing in the stone room. The only thing that could be seen was a huge stone door. On the stone door, there were magical beasts carved on it, and there were countless arrays on it. Upon seeing this, the few of them were excited. However, Li Lingtian noticed that Nanming's expression was calm and devoid of any emotion. 2. Sir Ling Tian, you're the only one who understands array formations in this place. Thank you for your hard work, Sir Ling Tian. Nanming said indifferently, his eyes staring at the monsters on the stone door. Chapter 236, Chapter 236, Heaven-Grade Divine Ability. Chapter 236, Heaven-Grade Divine Ability. Let me take a look first. Li Lingtian stepped forward and scrutinized the stone door. This stone door was filled with demon beasts and array formations. For a moment, it was impossible to tell what array formation it was. What puzzled him even more was that the array on this stone door was completely different from the array he knew. Even though he had only recently understood the array Tao, he knew about the divine array diagram, the 10 great ancient divine arrays, the ancient forbidden arrays, and countless other arrays. However, there was no way to deal with the array on the stone door. He did not know what array it was. Moreover, this array was very crude. They were all arrays below heaven grade. However, there were too many of them. As an array master, he naturally would not easily touch an array that he did not recognize. Nanming and the others were extremely worried when they saw the change in Li Lingtian's expression. They had already come to this place. If they could not enter, they would not be able to finish thinking about it. Could it be a devil formation? No, the demonic array needs demonic chi to operate. Demon formation? It really is a demonic formation. Li Lingtian ignored the others and continued to observe the array formation as he thought to himself. In the end, his face revealed a happy expression. As long as he knew the attributes of this array, it would be easy. At least he had a direction to crack it. Following that, Li Lingtian displayed the divine array diagram and waved his hands continuously with a serious expression on his face. It was his first time cracking the demon array and he had no confidence at all. Rustle, rustle. Rustling sounds kept coming from the stone door. The few martial emperors were staring at the stone door with extremely nervous faces, as if they were trying to crack the formation. However, Li Lingtian had a faint smile on his face as if he was enjoying the array. I see. Li Lingtian's heart was in shock and the look of enjoyment on his face disappeared. His expression turned extremely ugly as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His body was also thrown into the air, before he finally slammed into the stone room's wall. Blood kept flowing out of the corner of his mouth, but he was extremely excited. Sir Ling Tian. The 4 martial emperors were shocked. They did not know much about arrays, but they knew that Li Lingtian was not a simple person to be injured by the array despite his strength. It's fine. Don't worry. I've already found a way to break it. Li Lingtian sat cross-legged and meditated after he finished speaking. He tossed a pill into his mouth and began to recuperate. However, he was excited because he realized that the stone door was not completely covered in an array, but a skill. Those arrays were only used to hide the heaven-grade divine power skill. He did not expect that a divine ability would appear in the soliciting moon mountains. Skills and cultivation techniques above the heaven rank were already divine power skills. There was no need to explain how powerful divine powers were. They were no longer within the scope of skills. There was a divine power skill hidden on the stone door of an ancient cave abode. No one knew what treasure was inside. However, it was not that simple to take away this divine power skill. This was because this skill was integrated into the array formation. When the array formation was broken, the divine power skill would disappear. In other words, he had to remember the divine power skill before the array formation was broken. 20 minutes later, Li Lingtian opened his eyes again and slowly stood up. When the four of them saw that Li Lingtian was done recuperating, they were all filled with anticipation. Li Lingtian activated his cultivation method and absorbed the four men's primordial qi. This way, he did not have to expend his own primordial qi. The divine array diagram was displayed once again, and there was a path to it. Now, he just needed to carefully memorize the divine arts inside. Even if he could not obtain the treasure inside, he would not regret it because obtaining this skill was a shocking treasure. Divine abilities were extremely rare in the divine martial continent. Usually, only some powerful super experts could master a divine ability skill. The so-called divine powers were the same as the attributes of martial artists. Everyone only had one or two divine powers. Very soon, the place where the array formation started again had learned its lesson from before, so it was also very careful to crack it. Silver characters were transmitted into his mind. In his mind, these characters were continuously connected together, forming a magical spell. Yes! With a soft shout, the four martial emperors retracted their primordial qi. Li Lingtian's body swayed and the divine array diagram swayed as he pointed a spell at it. Immediately, the divine array diagram flashed with a dazzling light. The light bombarded the stone door. With a muffled sound, the stone door opened. A large hall appeared in their line of sight, and Nanming excitedly flashed in. Li Lingtian recuperated a little before he walked in. There were traps everywhere. There were also some formations of different sizes. However, they were all martial monarch realm experts. Even if they did not understand formations, they could still dodge the attacks of formations. When they asked around, they found nothing inside. The five of them revealed disappointed expressions. However, when they saw that there were rooms inside, they felt a little better. Following that, the five of them began to search. However, after searching 5 or 6 rooms, they did not find a single item. There was not even a single spirit stone, let alone a treasure. Gotcha! At this moment, Lin Xiao accidentally triggered a mechanism. The appearance of the mechanism caused the five of them to feel as if their world had turned upside down. When he reappeared, he was already in a room with a radius of 50 square meters. The furnishings in the room were simple. There was a stone bed, a stone table, and a stone bench. Other than these simple furnishings, there were no other items. It should be here. How is that possible? Where is it? At this moment, Nanming's face revealed a crazed look. It was as if his treasure had disappeared, and he was searching everywhere. Li Lingtian and the other three were puzzled by Nanming's behavior and began to doubt themselves. Alchemist Nanming looked like he was too familiar with this place, as if he had long known that there was a treasure here. Gotcha! An exquisite box popped out from the ground. After the box appeared, it floated in the room and immediately attracted the attention of the 5 people. For a box to appear in such a place, it was naturally inseparable from a treasure. For a moment, the 5 of them stared at the box in a daze, not knowing what was inside. There was naturally a problem with 5 people sharing a box. No one dared to make a move first, because if they did, they would be attacked by the others. After a long time, the 5 of them knew that this was not a solution. "I'll open this box first," Gu Lanqing said seriously. "We'll split the treasures inside equally. How about that?" "All right." Li Lingtian was the first to agree. Gu Lanqing was much better than Nanming in opening the box. Lin Xiao and Jiang Wei could only agree. Then, Gu Lanqing carefully grabbed the box and opened it. Instantly, an ancient aura erupted, and their eyes lit up. There were a total of 7 items in a foot-long box. Nanming's words stunned Li Lingtian and the other 3. The atmosphere in the room grew increasingly oppressive. No matter how good their relationship was, when it came to benefits, they would not give in. Of the 7 items, each person had to split 2 of them. In other words, at least 2 people could only get 1. Such a treasure was rarely seen in the divine martial continent. Naturally, they would not give it up so easily. Since Sir Nanming wants 2, how about I take 2? I trust that none of you will object to my choice. One only want 2 jade slips. I am an alchemist, and it is obvious that I am not going overboard with the pill formulas of 2 jade slips. Li Lingtian chimed in as well. After that, he turned to Lin Xiao and Jiang Wei before finally shifting his gaze to Gu Lanqing and Nanming. Sir Ling Tian, one have no objections if you choose 2 items, but you can't choose a weapon. Lin Xiao was stunned for a moment before he understood. Li Lingtian was an alchemist and an array master. Naturally, he needed the pill formula. Moreover, Li Lingtian had contributed the most. In this way, he would be doing her a favor by agreeing. That's right. If Sir Ling Tian chooses 2 jade slips, I have nothing to say. Seeing Lin Xiao agree so easily, Jiang Wei felt a little puzzled. However, how could an old monster like him not understand the logic behind it? He immediately agreed. Sir Ling Tian, have you forgotten that I'm also a spirit pill master? Aren't you going against me by asking for 2 items? Nanming did not expect Li Lingtian, who had always been friendly, to stand up for him. Although he did not object, it was obvious that he felt bad for him. Haha, Sir Nanming, you are a spirit alchemist. How about this, one will choose a jade slip and a weapon. You can ask them if they agree. If they agree, one don't mind. Li Lingtian laughed out loud. He did not know if the 2 jade slips contained a pill formula or a cultivation technique. Such an uncertain item was naturally not as valuable as a heaven artifact. Heaven artifacts were already heaven-defying treasures. As long as he obtained one, he could increase his strength by a large margin. With that said, he turned to look at the few martial emperors. Gu Lanqing remained silent while Jiang Wei and Lin Xiao objected. Naturally, they would not agree to Li Lingtian's choice of treasure. Chapter 237, Chapter 237, Dividing the Treasures. Chapter 237, Dividing the Treasures. Since neither of you agree, Sir Nanming, how do you think we should split the treasures in this box? Li Lingtian's smile remained on his face, but he glared at the Nanming alchemist. He had plenty of weapons and treasures. Heaven artifacts might seem like treasures to others, but he didn't need them. However, he liked the pill formula. With Nanming alchemist's alchemy cultivation, a 5th-grade pill was already at most. Sir Ling Tian wants 2 jade slips. That's not good, right? Why don't we look through both jade slips? If both jade slips contain pill formulas, we'll each take 1. If there's only 1 pill formula, we'll draw lots. How about that? Nanming didn't know how to distribute it, but he was worried that the 2 jade slips were magical pill recipes. Following that, he revealed his plan. Fai only mentioned how he and Li Lingtian would split the jade slips. He did not mention the other ways of splitting the jade slips. Haha, Sir Nanming, you really have a good idea. I asked for 2 jade slips when I didn't know the situation. If I knew what was inside, would one still choose the jade slip? This one doesn't want the jade slips. Tier 5 pills are already my limit. One don't know what's inside these 2 jade slips, so you can take them. I'll just choose a heaven artifact. Li Lingtian waved his hand and his sleeve. A hint of anger appeared on his face. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that Li Lingtian was angry. Moreover, Li Lingtian's words were reasonable. Li Lingtian was already at a disadvantage when he chose the jade slip without knowing what it was. Nanming was actually making things difficult for him. Even a clay man would be angry. One choose a heaven artifact. I will also choose a heaven artifact. Heaven artifact, 1 is enough. He didn't expect Gu Lanqing to also choose a heaven artifact, which puzzled Nan Ming. In this way, the four of them had chosen 4 heaven artifacts, leaving only one green pearl. The heaven artifact had been divided up, leaving only a green bead. He was about to miss out on the heaven artifact. Wasn't he at a loss this time? 4 heaven artifacts. Since you've chosen them, I've come for nothing. Nan Ming's expression turned ugly. He didn't know what was inside the 2 jade slips. If he chose the 2 jade slips like this, it wouldn't count. Sir Ling Tian chose 2 jade slips, but he didn't say anything. Lin Xiao looked at Nan Ming. Apart from Gu Lanqing, who was a Tier 4 martial emperor, the rest were all Tier 3 martial emperors. Naturally, he was not worried that Nan Ming would play any tricks. Forget it, I don't want the treasure anymore. You guys can split it among yourselves. With a wave of his hand, Li Lingtian unleashed the divine array diagram. A ray of light appeared and the entire room was instantly enveloped in its radiance. A phantom image of an array altar appeared in the room, causing Lin Xiao and the others to be confused. She wondered why Li Lingtian did not want the treasure anymore. Was he joking? However, they soon realized that there was no exit in the room and there was no way out. As an array master, Li Lingtian could naturally leave as he pleased. They were just trapped inside. Since Sir Ling Tian doesn't want the treasure, I don't want this treasure either. Consider this a tour. Sir Ling Tian, please send me out. Jiang Wei smiled, but he smiled bitterly in his heart. He didn't expect such a situation to happen. If it was anywhere else, he would never make such a decision. In this room, if there was no exit, he would be trapped to death even if he obtained the treasure. Sir Ling Tian, why are you angry? I was only joking with you. It's just 2 jade slips. Sir Ling Tian is still at a disadvantage. How about this? I'll give this green pearl to Sir Ling Tian as well. How about it, the 3 of you? A murderous intent flashed in Nan Ming's heart. However, the current situation was disadvantageous to him. If Li Lingtian left just like that, he would have to stay here. I'll let you be arrogant first, but all your treasures are mine. Nan Ming had a smile on his face as he cursed in his heart. Then, he looked at Jiang Wei and the other 2. Alright, that's it. Sir Ling Tian has contributed the most, so I have no objections. Sir Nan Ming, good idea. Although Jiang Wei and the other 2 didn't agree, they thought that no matter how they split the green bead, it would never be given to them. The chances of it falling into Nan Ming's hands were higher. Since Nan Ming was willing to take it out, he had nothing to say. Li Lingtian did not say anything. With one hand and one body, he grabbed the 2 jade slips and the green bead from afar. Without any intention of checking them, he put them into his storage pouch. Jiang Wei and Lin Xiao chose the short sword, Nan Ming chose the bell, and Gu Lanqing chose the battle axe. Let's go. Li Lingtian said as he looked at Gu Lanqing. It's time to leave. Sir Ling Tian, please send us out. Lin Xiao said. Obtaining a heaven artifact was already considered good. He had originally used a lower-grade emperor artifact, but now it was a heaven artifact. With such a treasure, his strength would increase by an unknown amount. You don't need my help. Brother Gu, just put the box back to its original place. Li Lingtian said calmly while his eyes were still fixed on Gu Lanqing. This place was obviously a trap. There was no need for a formation. The only way out was this box. The treasure in the box was gone. However, the box could activate the mechanism here. Although it was only a guess, it was worth a try. Nan Ming's face turned cold when Li Lingtian finished speaking. Why did he not think of this? He had actually given away the 3 items. Gotcha. Gu Lanqing was slightly stunned. He tried to put the box back to its original place. Suddenly, a cracking sound was heard. Everyone felt dizzy. A huge force pulled them up, and the entire stone room seemed to be spinning. Boom! 5 seconds later, there was a loud explosion and the box exploded. Li Lingtian's expression changed drastically as he activated his true dragon body barrier with his divine consciousness. He also placed the ice and fire ring in front of him. A terrifying force blasted the 5 of them away. When they reappeared, they were already on a mountain range. A mouthful of blood spurted out. By the time Li Lingtian realized what was going on, he was already in midair and had been sent flying by the force. Borrowing the force of the impact, he used the thunderclap wings and his body strangely disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 20 miles away. Nanming and the other 3 landed and noticed that Li Lingtian had disappeared. Their expressions were ugly. Li Lingtian's body kept flashing as he did not know where to go. After flying for half an hour, he spat out another mouthful of blood. He was struck by a force without any defense, which shocked him. He scanned the surroundings with his divine sense and finally found a cave where he could stay. His body flashed and he entered. He cast a few formations at the entrance of the cave and the entrance disappeared. After doing everything, he began to regulate his breathing. In an unknown and unfamiliar place, he had to recover from his injuries and recover his energy to the best state to deal with all unknown dangers. In the cave, Li Lingtian did not bother to look at the jade slips and beads. Instead, he focused on recuperating his injuries. 2 days passed. 2 days later, he left the cave, chose a direction, and flew on his sword at a moderate speed. On the 5th day after entering the ancient cave dwelling, Shen Mei and Wei Tian were looking for something aimlessly. "Little princess, this place is filled with danger. One think we should find a place to rest. When the time is up, we'll leave. Little princess doesn't lack anything at all." Wei Tian felt extremely depressed. As the 8th commander, he actually had to accompany this little princess to wander around this dangerous place. Shen Mei was the little princess of the queen's palace. She had everything she wanted. If she wanted something, someone would find it with just a word. There was no need for her to take the risk in the ancient cave abode in the soliciting Moon Mountains. It seemed that the little princess had come to play these past few days and not to look for any treasures. However, he was depressed. There were countless experts here. There were several Type 8 experts, and there were even Type 9 experts. If he was alone, it would be fine. However, if he brought the little princess along, if he was not careful and the little princess was injured or killed, his entire family would be wiped out. "You don't want to come? Then go back. One didn't ask you to come." Shen Mei's face no longer had a hint of coquettish charm. Instead, her face was pure and innocent. But now, her face was filled with impatience. It had been a few days, but she had not seen the person she wanted to see. "Little princess, please forgive me. I'm just worried about your safety." When Wei Tian heard this, he immediately felt bad. If this little princess complained, he would be finished. Therefore, he quickly smiled apologetically. He did not dare to provoke this little princess. Even if he died, he could not make this little princess unhappy. "Hee, you don't have to worry about your little princess' safety. I'll protect her." At this moment, a sinister laugh was heard, and the entire lawn shook with the sound. Wei Tian and Shen Mei were both shocked. They did not think that someone would dare to be so rude even after knowing their identity. "Who is it? Get out!" Wei Tian roared as he circulated his true qi and scanned his surroundings with his divine sense. However, he could not find a single shadow. He did not even see a single demonic beast, let alone a person. When he realized this, he felt even more troubled. "Hee, the old man is coming out now. You can get lost. 1 foot 11 inches protect the little girl, hee. Little girl, don't worry. I'll make you want to die later." The sinister laughter appeared again, but when the voice fell, a figure appeared in the void. Wei Tian saw the figure in the sky and felt that something was wrong. Old monster Tianming was a womanizer and had a notorious reputation. It seemed like he had his eyes on the little princess. The little princess was peerlessly beautiful, and all the men in the world were tempted. When this old man saw the little princess, he naturally had his attention on the little princess. Shun Mei was also frightened. Although her cultivation was low, she had heard of this old man's bad reputation. He was like a beggar. Any woman would be disgusted by this old man. However, this old man's strength was terrifying. He was invincible among rank 8 experts. Even Wei Tian was not his match. He was finished this time. The fear in his heart grew. If he fell into the hands of this old man, he might as well die. Chapter 238, Chapter 238, The Power to Destroy the Army, the Destruction of Heaven and Earth. Chapter 238, The Power to Destroy the Army, the Destruction of Heaven and Earth. Old monster Tianming, how dare you be so rude to the little princess? Aren't you afraid of extracting her soul? Wei Tian saw that old monster Tianming had actually said such words in front of him. This was the little princess of the queen's palace, and someone in the Azure continent actually dared to covet the little princess. He was truly courting death. He felt a deep sense of fear towards old monster Tianming. However, when he thought of the queen's palace's reputation, he believed that old monster Tianming would also feel fear. Moreover, no matter how powerful old monster Tianming was, he might not be able to kill him. If he did not die, old monster Tianming would be hunted down by the queen's palace even if he fled to the ends of the earth. Queen's palace, this old man is also very afraid. However, if I kill you here, this little girl will, hee. Who else knows who captured the little girl? You can die now. Old monster Tianming laughed sinisterly as if Wei Tian was already dead. Old monster Tianming, is it possible for you to kill me? Wei Tian and Shun Mei were both terrified. If they were really ambushed here, the people outside would not know who did it. Shun Mei felt a tinge of regret. She shouldn't have entered this place. Now that she had encountered such a situation, she didn't pay any attention to it. In the outside world, no one could provoke her. Moreover, she was surrounded by countless proud sons of heaven. However, she had never thought that such a day would come. Well, no, once we try. After old monster Tianming finished speaking, his terrifying true energy caused the world to tremble. A shocking true energy attack smashed down on Wei Tian. The power of true essence was firm and fierce without losing its femininity. This was also the power after he plucked it. It had his firm and fierce power, but also the woman's femininity. The world trembled and space was torn apart. Light of the Oracle. Wei Tian was shocked. He did not think that old monster Tianming would have the guts to do so. He did not dare to be the slightest bit careless in this attack. The first thing he did was use the Light of Oracle. This was a forbidden technique that was equivalent to a martial emperor. He knew his own strength. Even if the little princess wasn't here, he wouldn't be a match for old monster Tianming. However, now that the little princess was here, he didn't dare to be careless. Rumble. With a loud explosion, Wei Tian's body was thrown into the air and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Die! Old monster Tianming did not stop at all. Another destructive attack smashed down ruthlessly. Since he had made a move, he could not show any mercy. Otherwise, it would be seen by outsiders and spread to the queen's palace. Ignore attacks. Wei Tian's face was filled with fear. This attack was enough to take his life. He had thought that he was no match for the old monster, but he had never expected the old monster to be so powerful. In his anxiety, he reversed his vital essence and used the martial emperor forbidden technique. A light circle met the attack in the air. Just as he used the forbidden technique that ignored attacks, his expression changed drastically. In the sky, a destructive attack erupted from the other side. Its power was even stronger than old monster Tianming's attack. The target of that attack was him. Even if he was a fool, he knew that old monster Tianming had already joined forces with others to scheme against him. No wonder he was so unscrupulous. Even if an outsider came, he would be killed. He and the little princess were doomed this time. Rumble. A shocking explosion sounded out. When Wei Tian's life force disappeared, he remembered that the little princess was still here. If the little princess was humiliated, he would not forgive himself even if he died. He burned the last of his life to unleash the destructive power of the army destroyer. Seeing Wei Tian die right in front of her, Shun Mei'er felt extremely upset. She had never shown any mercy to her subordinates before, but now, someone had died to protect her. His body flashed quickly and he ran into the distance. However, no matter how fast a warrior spirit was, it was impossible for him to escape the destructive army-shattering power. Not good, quickly dodge. When old monster Tianming saw Wei Tian's counterattack before his death, he was shocked to death. Martial artists who used the army-destroying power would never be able to reincarnate, and its power would destroy the world. After saying that, his body flashed, but it was already too late. The army-destroying power swept across the world with a destructive power, destroying everything within a 5-kilometer radius. The old ghost Yin Ming who was hiding in the air was also extremely shocked. His body flashed, but it was too late. It's good to die. It's better than being humiliated. I know that you look down on me. It's just that Mei-er was born with a bewitching body, and she was born without control. However, if one die like this, my body will still be pure, and my body will belong to you alone. Seeing the destruction of the world, Shun Mei-er stopped. A beautiful smile appeared on her face, but there was a trace of regret in her smile. As she spoke to herself, her voice was drowned out by the destructive world. In her despairing eyes, a light shadow flashed. The light shadow was beyond the horizon. When she saw it clearly, the light shadow had already arrived in her line of sight. The light figure didn't hesitate at all and plunged into the destructive world. The light gradually became clear, and a graceful figure appeared. Her white clothes fluttered in the wind. When her body flashed again, she was already in front of him. This figure was like a nightmare in her heart. True dragon body protection. Creation of the heavens and earth. Divine array world. Shifting flowers to trees. Spatial imprisonment. The figure came before her with a comforting smile on her face. She waved her hands, and a formation enveloped her. At the same time, a pill cauldron appeared. The pill cauldron emitted a mysterious light, and the light enveloped her. He also intentionally or unintentionally stood in front of her, protecting the two of them with a light shield. A banner kept changing and twisting, and the destructive power between heaven and earth shot in all directions. The figure in front of her wasn't imposing, but it gave her a sense of security. He had left all his defenses to her. And he was standing in front of her. Although the destruction of the world came from all directions, his subconscious reaction made her feel his intentions. Using a human body to block the destructive power for her. The entire process only took an instant. The destructive power between heaven and earth erupted and quickly spread hundreds of miles away. The body in front of her trembled and was about to hit her. However, this body forcefully took a step forward and collided with the destructive power. A blood mist dispersed, and the world gradually quieted down. The destructive power gradually disappeared. Endless gales raged, but this body slowly fell down. In the sky, two sounds of blood spurting rang out. Old monster Tianming and old ghost Yin Ming both spat out a mouthful of blood. The two of them had completely turned into beggars, and their bodies were covered in blood. What a terrifying army-shattering power! Old monster Tianming looked into the distance in shock. He had just escaped quickly and forcefully used a forbidden technique at the last moment. He was lucky enough to escape, but he was also hit by the destructive power. His cultivation went by quickly, and his realm dropped to the 7th level of the Martial Emperor realm. All the meridians in his body were broken. The old ghost Yin Ming wasn't any better. His face was deathly pale, and he was extremely regretful. Old monster, hand over the Yin God Pearl. Old ghost Yin Ming looked at old monster Tianming. His losses this time were too great. The Yin God Pearl. That girl is gone. Do you still want the Een God Pearl? Is there such a good thing? Old Monster Tianming said angrily. Are you going back on your word? My cultivation fell because of you. The disappearance of that little kid was not part of our deal. He's actually not dead yet. The old ghost Een Ming was also furious, but in the end, he actually discovered that there was still an aura at the center of the explosion. This aura was completely unharmed and was not injured at all. No, there should be two of them. One of them had an extremely weak aura. Let's go take a look. If the little girl is still alive, I'll give you the Een God Pearl. Also, if we leave like this, the Queen's palace will definitely hunt us down endlessly. Old Monster Tianming also discovered the situation inside. He glanced at Old Ghost Een Ming and said loudly. After saying that, he walked inside. His face was pale, his cultivation had fallen, and his injuries were extremely serious. However, he could not help himself now. How are you? Don't scare me. Why are you doing this? Is it worth it? You still have me in your heart. If you dare to die, I won't let you off even if I go to hell. Shun Mei looked at the elegant figure lying on the ground. He was not moving at all. The pain in his heart was as if it was being torn apart. He had never felt so uncomfortable before. However, she was covered by the array and the light that was about to dissipate. She could not move at all. She could only look at the man who was less than 2 meters away from her. The originally elegant figure now had traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. His face was pale, and he did not even know if he was dead or alive. Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood as he opened his eyes weakly. There was not a single meridian in his body that was intact. He couldn't move his body at all. When he heard the voice behind him, a faint smile appeared on his face. However, it was so difficult to smile at this moment. Will you do this when you see me being destroyed? Li Lingtian spoke weakly. Every word he uttered tugged at his meridians and his face was filled with pain. One will protect you like you protect me. Shun Mei blurted out without any hesitation, and the tears on her face couldn't help but fall. Since you can do this, why can't I? Li Lingtian was extremely satisfied. With this, he would have no regrets even if he had to die. A satisfied smile appeared on her face, but it was difficult to smile. At this moment, Shun Mei finally felt that she had made the right decision to come here. She didn't regret it at all, because she had heard the words that she wanted to hear the most in this world. Hee hee, hee hee. A sinister laughter drifted over from the sky. The sinister laughter was very uncoordinated in this quiet environment. Shun Mei's face showed a trace of fear, and at the same time, a trace of determination. He had originally planned to disappear just like that, but he was reluctant to do so until the ancient cave abode in the soliciting Moon Mountains opened and allowed his subordinate to obtain the wooden bead to enter. She had also wanted to meet Li Lingtian in the ancient cave dwelling. Just as she had hoped, Li Lingtian appeared outside the cave dwelling. However, Li Lingtian's figure quickly disappeared after he entered the cave. After searching for a few days in the ancient cave abode, Li Lingtian was nowhere to be found. Wei Tian had died, and he had almost fallen into old monster Tianming's hands. After going through so many things and suffering, how could a girl like her bear it? With Li Lingtian here, she would naturally have a place to vent her frustrations. It's all right now. Li Lingtian said softly as he endured the pain all over his body. No matter what had happened in the past, he owed this Shun Mei. He had made a girl so afraid for him. What else could he not be satisfied with? Rumble. Rumble. Explosions sounded in the sky as countless experts rushed over. However, when they saw the battle between the demonic beasts and old monster Tianming in the sky, they were all incomparably shocked. They didn't know what had happened, but old monster Tianming and old ghost Een Ming were both extremely afraid after being beaten up like this. They thought that a few demon beasts had beaten the two of them until their cultivation realms fell, and their hearts trembled. Even though they saw Li Lingtian injured, they did not dare to take advantage of the situation as they had to look at the target. A few demonic beasts had turned 2 8th-level martial emperors into 7th-level martial emperors. Now that they were not far from death, they naturally did not dare to die. All. Arg! A miserable cry sounded out as old monster Tianming was struck by the silver-winged flying dragon's destructive demonic energy. His body was continuously torn apart, and in the end, his life force disappeared. He couldn't be any more dead. The silver-winged flying dragon didn't stop after this attack. It continued to attack old Ghosty Ming. Now, it was 3 against 1. With old monster Tianming's death, it brought the shadow of death to old Ghosty Ming. Rumble. Another earth-shaking explosion occurred. The despair in the old Ghosty Ming's eyes turned into ashes, and his body split apart. Roar! 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 After the 3 demonic beasts killed old monster Tianming and old Ghosty Ming, they let out waves of violent roars and looked at the experts in the distance with a show of force. They were enraged when Li Lingtian was beaten up like this. Their violent rage terrified countless powerhouses. 2, let's go. Li Lingtian's palm gently caressed Shan Mei's back before she finally quieted down. She knew that Li Lingtian was in a bad state and needed to find a place to recuperate. If she delayed Li Lingtian's recuperation, he might even die. The multicolored beast crouched down after Li Lingtian finished speaking and gestured for Li Lingtian to go up. Li Lingtian struggled to get on the multicolored beast. Shan Mei sat behind him while Little White sat on Li Lingtian's shoulder. The 3 demonic beasts ran away quickly and disappeared from the sight of countless experts in the blink of an eye. On the multicolored beast tried its best to reduce the bumps and its speed was not too fast. After running for a full hour, the silver-winged flying dragon flew in the air and finally stopped by a lake. The jade-eyed beast's body flashed and entered the lake. After a moment, it appeared again and gave the multicolored beast a human-like look before entering the lake again. The multicolored beast did not stop either. The few demonic beasts had been together for a long time and naturally understood each other's intentions. The silver-winged flying dragon and the multicolored beast quickly entered the lake. The multicolored beast quickly sank. After sinking for 100 meters, a cave appeared. However, no lake water entered the cave, as if it was blocked by something mysterious. The jade-eyed beast burrowed into the cave with the multicolored beast following behind. Li Lingtian did not bother with the demonic beasts as he had no chance to bother with them now. The injuries all over his body worsened rapidly. He could only focus on his body and not let his consciousness disappear. Shan Mei had also noticed something amiss with Li Lingtian, but she was not in the mood to care about the demonic beast's actions. The sound of air being torn apart rang out as 3 demon beasts appeared in a dry cave. The cave was very big, and there were countless small holes of different sizes inside. Each small hole had a radius of more than 10 square meters. Out of the 3 demonic beasts, 1 blocked the entrance while the other 2 walked in. They blocked both sides so that Li Lingtian could heal himself. Shan Mei got down from the multicolored beast and hugged Li Lingtian. They quickly walked into a small hole. He stretched out his hand, and an exquisite ring appeared. Immediately, the space fluctuated, and countless daily necessities and jade bottles appeared in the ring. Great cyclic pellet. Where is the great cyclic pellet? Where's my great cyclic pellet? Shan Mei kept rummaging through her interspatial ring. If someone saw the pills in these jade bottles, they would definitely go crazy because these pills were all tier 4 or 5 precious pills. There were even some legendary precious pills. Found it. Shan Mei searched through her interspatial ring and finally found a brocade box. Inside the brocade box was an exquisite jade box with over 10 seals on it. So many seals were just to seal a pill. The pill was the size of a finger, but it emitted a magical light. Heaven and earth are clear and frozen. Revive your soul and restore your spirit. Open. He chanted an incantation, and more than 10 seals were opened. The medicinal pill automatically flew out, carrying traces of spirituality, and was about to escape outside. The medicinal pill had its own consciousness. Only a Tier 7 medicinal pill could have such spirituality. Seeing that the pill was about to escape, Shun Mei grabbed it with one hand and quickly stuffed it into Li Lingtian's mouth. The tears on her face were still wet as she anxiously watched Li Lingtian's transformation. Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was trembling and his expression was contorted. "Silly woman, what pill did you give me?" Li Lingtian endured the pain and looked at Shun Mei. What's wrong with you?" "This is my great cyclic pellet." Seeing Li Lingtian's expression, Shun Mei knew that she had not only failed to help Li Lingtian, but had instead worsened his injuries. She was not angry at all when she heard Li Lingtian call her a silly woman. On the contrary, she was extremely happy. If anyone else dared to shout like this, they would have died countless times. Great Rejuvenating Pill, a level 7 Great Rejuvenating Pill. Li Lingtian's heart sank and his heart turned ashen. If it was any other time, a Tier 7 pill like this would be the target of countless super heaven-defying powerhouses. Moreover, this Great Recovery Pill was the most magical pill among the 7th grade pills. He didn't expect that Shun Mei would have such a pill. But now, not only could he not heal himself, but he was also adding fuel to the fire. He was weak and could not be nourished. Moreover, after his meridians were broken, this pill was a fatal poison. Hurry up and get out. If I'm not dead, come in again. Li Lingtian's entire body seemed to be on fire. The burning of his meridians made him suffer hellish pain. Originally, he only needed to enter the Divine Dragon Ring to recover from his injuries. However, he did not expect that this silly woman would waste the recover pill for him and even push him to the edge of death. Chapter 240, Cultivate Together, 1. Chapter 240, Cultivate Together, 1. If you die, I won't live alone. I'll go to hell with you. Seeing Li Lingtian's condition, Shun Mei knew that she was done for. She looked at Li Lingtian resolutely before turning around and leaving the cave. He tidied up the small cave next door. In less than 10 minutes, a warm boudoir appeared. The entrance of the small cave was covered by a formation flag. Once she was done, she walked out and sat quietly outside Li Lingtian's cave. If anything happened to Li Lingtian, she would follow him to hell. Her boudoir would be the place where they would be buried. The 3 demonic beasts were also extremely anxious. Their bodies were bursting with a violent aura as they paced back and forth. However, they did not dare to approach Li Lingtian. This silly woman. Li Lingtian smiled bitterly as he watched Shun Mei leave. He knew that Shun Mei was trying to save him. Otherwise, she would not have fed him such a precious and miraculous pill. With that, he waved his hands and activated the Divine Dragon Ring with his divine consciousness. He then entered the 3,000 dragon energies in the Divine Dragon Ring. With the existence of the dragon chi, he would not be destroyed. Only in this way could he repair his meridians. If his meridians were not repaired, he would not even be able to use his cultivation technique. How could he be treated? A low growl came from his throat, and his expression was distorted. Seal! Seal! Once his meridians were slightly repaired, Li Lingtian quickly unleashed his Ice Soul, Martial Soul and Flaming Sacred Body. The 2 miraculous ultimate martial souls quickly suppressed the recover pill. The Great Cyclic Pill was not like other medicinal pills that melted in the mouth. It had to be refined through exercise. An ordinary expert would need 10 days to half a month to refine a recover pill. Moreover, only Martial Supremes and Martial Emperors dared to use a Grade 7 medicinal pill. He did not dare to refine the Great Rejuvenation Pill now, and he did not have the strength to do so. He could only seal the Great Cyclic Pellet, or else he would be burned to death by the medicinal power of the Great Cyclic Pellet. His body was in turmoil. His meridians were broken from time to time and his true essence was in disarray. Li Lingtian was on the verge of destruction. After an unknown amount of time, the great cyclic pellet was finally sealed, but there were still traces of medicinal strength moving around in his body. Li Lingtian could only allow the great cyclic pellet's medicinal effect to run through his body. He could only focus on repairing his meridians. Otherwise, he would not be able to heal himself, let alone stop the great cyclic pellet's medicinal effect. Hush! Li Lingtian did not know if it was a day or two before he finally heaved a sigh of relief. His meridians were gradually recovering. He left the divine dragon ring and reappeared in the cave. His expression had also recovered a lot, but his meridians still needed to recover. Now that he had passed the critical period, it was only a matter of time before his injuries and meridians recovered. After a mouthful of blood was expelled, his face gradually regained its ruddy color, and he was no different from an ordinary person. The only thing was that he could not use his meridians and true essence. He could only be an ordinary person for the time being. Xiao Bai was relieved to see Li Lingtian come out. This was because every time Li Lingtian was injured, he would come out of the divine dragon ring and his injuries would recover. Although his expression wasn't very good, it seemed that his injuries had stabilized. Kiki. After chirping twice, a stream of consciousness was transmitted into Li Lingtian's awareness. Li Lingtian finally understood that Shun Mei was still standing guard outside. He was stunned for a moment. This silly woman had done all kinds of silly things. For his sake, she had come to the ancient cave mansion and wasted the recover pill. After tidying himself up, he walked out of the cave and saw Shun Mei staring at the cave. He looked extremely tired, as if he hadn't rested for a long time. How are you? When Shun Mei saw Li Lingtian, she immediately stood up and sized him up. Remember, the chant and the cultivation method are more important. Shun Mei said shyly. She did not even dare to look up at Li Lingtian. After that, the two of them spent most of their time in dual cultivation. Li Lingtian knew how powerful dual cultivation was, but he did not expect it to be so fast. In 3 days, his cultivation had actually broken through to the 4th rank of the martial arts grandmaster. Moreover, the medicinal power of the grand rejuvenation pill in his body had also been converted into true essence. His cultivation had now reached the peak of the 4th rank. Shun Mei was originally a Tier 9 warrior spirit, and her cultivation base had been rising continuously in the past 3 days. She had broken through to Tier 6 and was now a Tier 5 warrior king. As he watched the passing of time, Li Lingtian thought for a moment. It was about time for him to leave. If he missed the time, he would never be able to leave. However, Shun Mei's face revealed a reluctant expression. She knew that after they left this place, the two of them would definitely separate. There were many things that she could not control herself. Although she was the little princess of the queen's palace, she could not control herself. Little brother, Mei will be returning to the queen's palace after this trip. You must come and find me. Mei will always be waiting for you. Shun Mei had been fighting Li Lingtian for 2 months, and Li Lingtian had been taken advantage of. However, Li Lingtian did not address her as sister. Instead, he addressed her as Mei, or silly woman. Alright, wait for me at the queen's palace. I'll definitely bring you back from the queen's palace. Because you're Li Lingtian's woman, silly woman. Li Lingtian said earnestly with a gentle expression. In this world, no matter how glorious it looked on the surface, there were countless things that were beyond one's control behind the scenes. He didn't ask Shun Mei anything, because he didn't need to know. As long as he became stronger, everything would be fine. Well, we'll stay for another day, okay? A blissful smile appeared on Shun Mei's face as she spoke shyly. She then whispered into Li Lingtian's ear, causing the smile on his face to deepen. On that day, the two of them made love to their heart's content. No matter what Li Lingtian requested, Shun Mei would agree to it. She wanted to stay 1 more day to accompany Li Lingtian. Moreover, this place was their private world. After they went out, they would go their separate ways. Both of them enjoyed the warmth before Li Lingtian left the cave with Shen Mei and flew into the distance. A month's time was up very quickly. The two of them naturally had to rush back so that they wouldn't stay here forever. Counting the time, there were only 2 days left before they left. Li Lingtian stored Little White, the jade-eyed beast, and the silver-winged flying dragon into the divine dragon ring. Holding Shen Mei in his arms, the multicolored beast galloped forward. Shen Mei snuggled into Li Lingtian's arms and enjoyed the last bit of gentleness. They would have to part once they were out. Both of them remained silent as they looked at the scenery on both sides. Even if there were powerhouses, Li Lingtian completely ignored them. As long as they didn't provoke him, he wouldn't provoke these experts. He didn't want the treasures, and he had his own wealth. He wouldn't take the risk for the time being. Because he and Shen Mei were going to be separated soon. If he still went for treasures and wealth at this time, it would be a great spoil of scenery. Li Lingtian did not know why Shen Mei wanted to go back, but he would not object to it as he had many things to attend to. Moreover, the Queen's Palace was one of the 3 super forces in the Azure continent. At least no one would dare to bully or provoke Shen Mei when she returned to the Queen's Palace. Chapter 241, Chapter 241, The Destruction of Maple Leaf Manor. Chapter 241, The Destruction of Maple Leaf Manor. After a day, the two of them returned to the place where they came in and waited for the exit to open. The last time they entered, there were nearly 1,000 experts. However, when they returned now, there were only about 300 of them. However, judging from the expressions of these experts, he should have gained quite a lot. The 7th and 8th level martial emperors had all returned. Only old monster Tian Ming, old ghost Yin Ming, and Wei Tian had disappeared. Many experts were shocked. The 2 old monsters and Wei Tian were both Type 8 experts. Wei Tian did not say anything, but Tian Ming and Yin Ming were definitely in the top 3 among the people who had entered this time. There was no super expert who could kill the 2 of them. Even the only 9th level martial emperor here could not kill them. However, countless experts discovered something strange. The young man with no cultivation had returned, and in his arms was a peerless and beautiful girl. Many experts knew or had heard of this young lady. She was the little princess of the Queen's Palace. However, the Tier 8 guard beside her did not return. Instead, a young man with no cultivation and a Tier 9 warrior spirit little princess returned. Moreover, many martial emperors looked uneasy when they saw the 2 of them return, as if they had seen ghosts. Why is the little princess of the Queen's Palace with him? From the looks of it, they should be lovers. Yeah, it looks like this pretty boy has already won the favor of this little princess. Why would the little princess of the Queen's Palace fall in love with a pretty boy who has no cultivation? This is really strange. Countless powerhouses were whispering among themselves. When they looked at Li Lingtian, their eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. However, he could not hide the envy in his eyes. To be favored by such a peerless beauty was worth it even if he died. Senior brother, don't speak. Don't provoke him. He's not some pretty boy. He's more terrifying than a devil. When a 4th level martial emperor saw that his senior brother was also discussing with him, he quickly stopped him. It would not be worth it if he were to fail in the ditch at this time. What do you mean? When Yang Tian heard his junior brother's words and the fear on his junior brother's face, he also felt that something was wrong. This pretty boy did not have any cultivation base, yet he was able to return safely. This was a little suspicious. Furthermore, as the little princess of the Queen's Palace, the person she fancied must be a heaven-defying monster. Tian Ming and Dark Nether died in his hands. They were killed at the same time. Although the 2 of them died under his demonic beast, when the demonic beast killed the 2 old monsters, the 2 old monsters had already been beaten until their realms fell. Their injuries were terrible. Feng Lai was still afraid of the 2 demonic beasts that had killed Tian Ming and Yin Ming. Furthermore, when he saw Li Lingtian's injuries and Tian Ming and Yiming's state drop, he was certain that Li Lingtian was the one who had beaten them up. The demonic beast killing them was just the end of the battle. What? Two old monsters joined hands and were defeated by him, causing their realms to drop. In the end, they were even killed. Yang Tian was extremely shocked. This news was too shocking and he could not help but exclaim. Instantly, countless martial emperors looked at him. They had also heard a part of the conversation, and their eyes were filled with questions. Brother Lan, I'm not afraid to tell you that when Dark Nether and Tianming joined forces, they were beaten by him until their cultivation levels dropped. In the end, they were killed by his demonic beast. A Force Emperor whispered to the people he knew when he heard someone say it. That's impossible. Even a Supreme Realm expert might not be able to defeat Tianming and Netherworld if they join forces. He beat them until their realms fell. Isn't this too terrifying? What exactly happened? Look, it shouldn't be difficult to imagine how the two of them look like. That's true. Old monster Tianming naturally likes women, and this peerless beauty must have become his prey. However, he didn't dare to attack alone, so he joined forces with the Netherworld. In the end, he was hit by an iron plate. That should be it. How powerful is this? It seems that we can't afford to offend some low-profile people. Perhaps an ordinary person can be a super expert who can kill you in an instant. At that moment, countless powerhouses were discussing among themselves. They were all suspicious when they saw Li Lingtian and the other man. Meanwhile, Li Lingtian and his companion completely ignored the discussions. The two of them sat on a huge rock in a quiet place while Shun Mei snuggled up in Li Lingtian's arms. The two of them did not say a word as they enjoyed each other's gentleness. The scene froze. No one dared to cause trouble in this place, and their hearts were extremely heavy. A super expert who could destroy the world was here. Who would still dare to act tough? Acting tough was not to be struck by lightning, but to be killed by experts. Crash! An arc of lightning struck down from the sky, and a figure of light landed on the ground. Just like the last time outside, an array altar of light appeared. On the array altar, there were countless mysterious arrays and mysterious lights. We should go. Li Lingtian looked at the array altar with a calm expression, but he did not show the reluctance in his heart. He gently held Shun Mei's hand and slowly walked towards the formation altar. It was a strange scene and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Many powerhouses wanted to leave after the array altar was activated, but none dared to go up when they saw Li Lingtian's arrival. They could only stand aside. This scene made countless experts feel aggrieved. Tisk! After entering the light of the array altar, a halo flashed and the two of them disappeared, leaving behind a breeze. In the space-time tunnel, the two of them held hands tightly and looked at each other. The reluctance in their hearts could only be hidden in their hearts. A breeze blew past, and the two of them floated in the air before slowly descending. However, the moment she landed, a faint multicolored light appeared on her body. As the multicolored light appeared, her figure gradually disappeared. Will always belong to my little brother. Crystal tears rolled down her lively eyes. As her voice fell, her figure became fainter and fainter. His figure disappeared, and his arms were empty. Her heart felt like it was being pricked by a needle. Unknowingly, a tear rolled down her face. He turned around and left without looking at the figure that was about to disappear. He didn't want to stay here and miss her. The thunderclap wings flapped, and he disappeared. In the soliciting Moon Mountains, there was a world-destroying explosion, and a burst of explosive aura tore through the space. Countless experts left the ancient cave dwelling, but they were all shocked when they saw the soaring aura in the mountain range. Li Lingtian lay on the ground and allowed the strong wind to blow against him. His expression was numb. I've lived 2 lives in this life. One thought that I looked down on the world and that I was a genius. However, I couldn't even protect my own woman, nor could one protect my own family. Expert? What is an expert? It is to control one's own fate, control the fate of others, control this world, and dominate this world. Only then can one be considered an expert. Li Lingtian must become a powerhouse who stands above all others and rules the world. Li Lingtian muttered to himself with a never-before-seen determination on his face. With a flash, he flew into the distance. A strong person must have a strong mind and would not yield in the face of any torture. Only with the heart of a strong person could one become a strong person. The matter at the Soliciting Moon Mountains had almost been resolved. There was no point in staying here. However, Maple Leaf Manor still needed to be dealt with. If he left just like that, Maple Leaf Manor would definitely be annexed by other forces. Moreover, Yun Yao Yao was waiting for him at Maple Leaf Manor. This girl was very important to him. After a day, he returned to Maple Leaf Manor. Seeing everything that was happening in Maple Leaf Manor, his expression became distorted. How was this Maple Leaf Manor? This was a ruin. The entire Maple Leaf Manor had been razed to the ground. Not a single piece of wood was intact. The entire manor had been reduced to ashes. There was not a single intact item, let alone a human figure. Li Lingtian was stunned by the sight. Who was the one who wanted to deal with Maple Leaf Manor? Who dared to do so? As a martial arts grandmaster, he could clearly see that this was not caused by a fight. Instead, it was caused by the destruction of the entire villa. Only a super 9th level martial emperor could do it, or even a martial honor. Yao Yao sis. Li Lingtian was on the verge of going crazy. Even with his Ice Soul martial soul and 5 elements perfection, he could not withstand such a blow. During this period of time, he had seen countless things that he could not do anything about. Facing the destruction of the god's wrath, he had seen Tang Zimeng's hoarse screams. Tang Qingyue had been taken away by a powerful family in the Azure continent, and Shun Mei had been forced to return to the Queen's palace. Now that Maple Leaf Manor had been destroyed, Yun Yao Yao was nowhere to be seen. Who is it? Who did it? 1. Li Lingtian, swear that I will exterminate your entire family. Li Lingtian shouted loudly. He was powerless. He was too powerless in front of everything. With his current cultivation, countless people were afraid of him. However, after he left, someone dared to attack his family. Was this really afraid of him? The Queen Palace was one of the 3 superpowers in the Azure continent. However, after Shun Mei entered the ancient cave mansion, old monster Tian Ming and old ghost Yin Ming dared to set their eyes on her. The Queen's palace was still not strong enough. If they were strong, they needed to be deeply afraid of them no matter when and where they were. Li Lingtian looked at the ruins in front of him and thought of what Yun Yao Yao had told him. He had been waiting for her to come back forever. When she came back, all she saw was ruins. Swoosh! It was at this moment that the sound of something breaking through the air was heard as it shot toward Li Lingtian. Li Lingtian's speed was so fast that he arrived in an instant. With a flip of his hand, a palm print pressed forward and the sky-turning palm was unleashed. A shocking force crashed down on the ear-piercing sound behind him. At the same time, Li Lingtian's body burst into the air and he left his spot far away. The black-robed old man's face was filled with anger. He did not expect to be suppressed by a young man. He was a 9th level martial emperor, but he had also fallen to such a state. In the Soliciting Moon Mountains, countless experts had seen the battle in the sky. The battle quickly spread into the distance, and the black light kept retreating. A silver-winged flying dragon and a white-robed young man suppressed the black-robed old man's attacks. One didn't expect his strength to reach such a level. A silver-winged flying dragon. With his strength, even a 9th level martial emperor can only escape. The cultivators of the Soliciting Moon Mountain range looked at the battle in the sky, and their expressions changed. Fortunately, he didn't look for this young man. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. Ice, fire, 9 heavens, destruction. Li Lingtian found an opportunity to put away the roaring dragon combat halberd. He raised his hands and a destructive and deadly aura burst forth. A ball of flames and a glacier appeared in his hands. He put his hands together and a three-colored pillar of light shot out. Rumble. With a shocking explosion, the black ball of light was sent flying, and blood spurted out. Die! Die, die, die! Li Lingtian's body flashed as his huge fist continued to strike the black-robed elder's body. Rumble! Rumble! The silver-winged flying dragon came to a halt after a series of explosions. It followed behind Li Lingtian, only to see Li Lingtian's fists continuously striking the old man. It was a close-range attack, and the old man had become a passive sandbag. However, he did not have the slightest bit of power to resist, nor did he have the slightest chance to resist. Countless powerhouses below were trembling in fear when they saw Li Lingtian's expression. They could only stay far away from such a person. After an unknown period of time, the old man in black had turned into a pile of meat. There was not a single intact bone in his body, but Li Lingtian's fist had yet to stop. The black-robed elder was long dead. However, Li Lingtian's fury continued to bombard the Annihilation Mountain Villa's murderer with all his strength. He finally stopped and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was not because he was injured, but because he had been suppressing himself after seeing the situation at Maple Leaf Manor. Now that he had relaxed, he could no longer hold it in. Let's go. Li Lingtian returned to the silver-winged flying dragon and quickly flew toward the horizon. All that was left for the cultivators of the soliciting Moon Mountain Range was a back view. Behind this back view, everyone was shocked. After flying for an unknown period of time, a huge city appeared in front of them. The city stretched for countless tens of thousands of miles. This place was like a country of cities. Even with his powerful divine sense, he was unable to see how big this city was. Stop! Li Lingtian did not know where he was when he saw the city. He could only order the silver-winged flying dragon to come down. Everything from the past was kept in the bottom of her heart and could not be revealed. This place was filled with experts, so it was best to keep a low profile. The silver-winged flying dragon landed on a hidden mountain peak. Li Lingtian stored the silver-winged flying dragon into the divine dragon ring before he found a water source to clean himself up. He changed into clean clothes and walked out with a faint smile on his face. Then, he flew toward the city on his sword. The closer he got to the city, the bigger the city became. In the end, it was like a forest that was 10,000 miles long. Li Lingtian came to the foot of the tall city wall and looked at it. Even Sky Dragon Empire's Sky Dragon City was not as strong as this city wall. The 100-meter-tall city wall emitted an ancient aura. The huge city gate was 50 meters wide and 20 meters tall. There were a total of 5 main roads under the city gate, which were divided into levels to enter and exit. This was the place to show one's identity. One great Dao was used by martial emperors and above, while the others were used by ordinary martial artists, super sects, and families. Li Lingtian headed straight for the ordinary passageway. He was not a martial emperor but a tier 4 martial arts grandmaster. Moreover, he wouldn't show off in this place, as he would often be struck by lightning. "Sir, do you have a token to enter the city?" "What's the matter?" A Warrior King patrol member asked in a neutral tone when he saw Li Lingtian approaching. Warriors who used the normal passageway were not powerhouses and did not have any status. Naturally, there was no need to stand on ceremony. Moreover, Li Lingtian did not exude any powerful aura nor did he have any cultivation base. "Help this young master apply for one," Li Lingtian said coldly. Even though he was not going to show off, he would not be ignored or disrespected. His tone was cold and it sent chills down the patrolling members' spines. "Please wait for a moment. The token requires 10,000 lower spiritual stones. You can only enter the Way City. To enter and exit Moonrise City, you need 100,000 lower spiritual stones. May first ask if you want to apply for a 10,000 yuan token or a 100,000 yuan token?" The patrol member asked. Although he did not know the cultivation of this young man, he gave off a threatening feeling. "There are still 2 kinds of tokens. Tell me what they are about." Li Lingtian was stunned. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing. In the past, he only needed one token, but this place had two types of tokens. Is this your first time in Moonrise City? It's like this. Soliciting Moon City is divided into a citadel and an inner city. There are 4 citadel in the periphery, and each citadel is 20,000 miles in size. The inner city is 100,000 kilometers in size. A 10,000 token can only be used in the citadel. Any mission can only be accepted in the citadel. It can't be accepted in the inner city. The patrol member explained patiently when he saw that there were not many people who were going through the procedures. If Li Lingtian were to apply for a token in the inner city, he would earn even more. Alright, let's get a token for the inner city. Li Lingtian did not hesitate at all. Naturally, he would not let a few spiritual stones affect his own plans. 100,000 spirit stones were only low grade. He had 40 billion spirit stones on him, which meant that he had given Yun Yaoyao 500 million. Furthermore, he had entered the ancient cave abode and killed Tianming and Netherworld, so he had countless wealth. The black-robed old man of Maple Leaf Manor had countless treasures in his storage bag. Naturally, he would not care about these few spirit stones. Alright, please wait a moment. May first know your name. Don't worry, no one knows about this identity. The patrol member quickly explained when he saw the expression on Li Lingtian's face. Those who came here to apply for a token were wary of others asking about their name and origin. After that, Li Lingtian revealed his name and took out his token before heading into the city. After entering the city, it was like entering an endless sea. They had no idea how big this city was. The patrol member said that it was tens of thousands of miles wide, but they only realized how huge this city was when they really went inside. Moonrise City truly lives up to its reputation. Looking at the buildings in the city, the pavilions and palaces were arranged in rows. The bluestone streets were 30 meters wide, and the countless streets were like a spider web. It was impossible to find the direction on the first trip. Moreover, the strength of the martial artists in the city was much stronger than that of the Green Island. Even some of the waiters were warrior spirits, and there were even martial kings. That you're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.